everyone, welcome to the stream. Welcome. Hope you all are doing awesome and having a wonderful evening. Treating me as well as it can be, I suppose. That is good. That's good. So you guys are sharing love in chat. All kisses and hugs. All right, let's find something. You know what? I'm gonna be rude. I'm just gonna bite somebody. Hi, Randall. Welcome. I said I'm just gonna be rude and bite somebody because everybody's being nice and kissing and hugging, and I'm just gonna bite. How's it going? It's going good. It's Friday. I am going to play some golf with friends. Our enemies. By the end of the night, we will see. Never happens, but it's all good. And then I have a margarita, so I'm really happy because I love these things and I hadn't had one in a long time. So, cheers to all. And we're going to possibly do some AI shenanigans later. So if you're still around later tonight, you will find out what that is. I don't want to be bitten. I want to be hugged. Aww. That is understandable. I mean, there is the hug thing that I do. Whoever gets the hugs gets the cookies. Hacks. It's rigged. Totally rigged. So, rigged. The hug. And Rando, you get 500 cookies. There you go, man. Cookies are one of the currencies on my stream. There's also channel points, you know, but cookies is the other one. So, congrats. I hope my bot, yeah, my bot's working. We already tested it, so that's good. KimonoKat hugs KimonoKat. What? Oh, kimono. What? I am so confused. Oh, I didn't actually gift the cookies. I hit the wrong thing. Cookies. Add. Brain. I swear I haven't had a sip yet. I haven't even had a sip of alcohol yet, and my brain is just like. Michigan, can you just tell me you love me? Okay, here, I'll put him live so he can tell you, man. Alright, you guys are live. Now Michigan can literally tell you he loves you. Christ, let's kiss this cat on the cheek.
Thank you. Give me a kiss back. I kissed him twice, and no kiss back.
Oh, he's trying, but I jumped in the way. I went, no! I want the kiss on the cheek. Michigan can't have it. I'm just kidding. That's not what it looks like, Michigan. Yeah, it's not what it looks like. I'm just being rude. Rude and friends. Rude, apparently. I'm being rude. As Lady Rain puts it, rude. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, welcome everyone. Cheers.
Cheers.
Now it's actually hot in here. Oh, yeah, cheek. You know, the next one I'm gonna turn around and you're gonna have to kiss the other cheeks. Just saying. So you better hit Michigan's time.
No, I kissed both of his other cheeks and I won't get anything.
You just better hit the other one this time. That's weird. Awkward.
Just a little bit. No, but
all
I was
good.
saying that's weird to who I kissed.
Awkward. It's all out of the sake of friendship. It's all good.
Wiggle.
Hello there.
Hey, Wiggles.
Hi, Wiggles. Welcome to the stream. I know my AC's on, but it feels
a little weird that the bot made me kiss Crisis. A little weird.
And then Crisis keeps kissing the bots.
And you, apparently.
Yes. He's trying. Now the bot's getting in the way.
I got
Oh,
Mono.
lady's right here now. Can a
I
cat
gave
be
him all
rude?
my love.
Just a little. Just a little. It's all good.
I'm gonna go get a beer. Because
That one was right here, lady. This is how it goes.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. So the third one is, Chris is trying really hard to get to you, Michigan. You better say something and chat to him. And then the lady's burning people. She's like setting people on fire. Chris is in love with all the bots.
I guess it's not meant to be.
That's
I guess.
still really weird.
It's because he's not chatting. You're not chatting anymore, probably. I don't know. Like, you exclamation hype or something, and I bet it'll grab you next. Run! Hi! Hi, Wiggles. Welcome to the stream. Oh, Lady Rain's right here now. Kiss number 2. Who's gonna get kiss number 3? And kiss mine. Crisis is trying to give Michigan a kiss, but apparently I keep getting in the way. Oh, Lady Rain did it first. She kissed my booty. Because you have 4 cheeks, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep.
That's her 3rd kiss, so she's done for. Let's see. I haven't used this emote in a while. Aw, thank you for the hugs.
Oh, that's
Linked
when I
Wiggles.
got that sticker.
The booty one.
Yeah, it took me like, because you have to hold it in the right orientation. I'm like, what in the hell is? Oh, that's definitely somebody's.
I didn't even think about it because I just gave like the whole set to each person. I was like, I probably shouldn't have said that one, but each person got the whole set though. So yeah, it's a
Sorry,
cat
it's now sits on the back of my daughter's laptop.
Well, have you not seen the back of my laptop and where I have Mono's booty
Yeah.
and lick emotes?
Yep.
I think you showed us once. Yeah.
I made that one on.
Emote.
I believe I made that one on stream when I was making it part of it.
Yep, I got Mono's lick emote, licking her booty emote.
Poke catch. If you're catching Pokemons. It's hot in here though. Okay. The game is up. I capitalized the first letter today by accident, but the password's the same.
Yep. And obviously, we don't ever say the password. The password is Christmas.
The password is not password.
No, password is password 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4.
What, you
Rando.
changed it?
Oh, kisses on cooldown. Just try again, Rando. It's because somebody else was doing it at the same time.
Everybody's kissing too much.
Yep.
Everybody
Too many.
Everybody keep their tongue, or that's French kiss.
I booped myself on the nose. It's right there.
You're gonna run out of cheeks.
I know. I only got 4. He does number 3. And then it goes to feet. I don't know. There you go.
That's a whole nother thing.
I know. We don't have a command for that.
Wrong.
You need to use the hat thing too. Oh, there you go. Maybe you don't have to use that.
Rude.
Alright, gonna switch over to the game. Crisis, you know you want to play golf with us. And then I'm gonna turn on the fair. It's fun. Maybe I should put shorts on. Yeah, that's far.
You might have to.
Oh god.
Well, I got a 25% chance of winning.
Oh, with me playing? Yeah,
Mhm.
sure.
No, well, it'd be like 70. No, just kidding.
Hope everybody had a good week this week. It was a crazy one.
It's
Good.
been a week.
Actually, I'm
Sure.
pretty
End of the
happy.
month.
I'm actually happy, which is weird.
Happy's good.
Like, I don't know this feeling that well.
I guess I've been happy for the most part, just really stressed, but I'm good.
Well, golf helps me a lot. And
Yeah.
just go outside, see the sun.
Can't run out if you reuse the same for over and over. Right, true. So you should put your cheeks in categories. SFW cheeks and
Your left cheek out and shake it all about.
cheeks. Oh, that would be funny. Safe for work and not safe for work.
Well,
Works
cheers,
for
chat.
me.
Cheers,
Yes.
chat, and everybody.
Cheers.
Chat, I will kiss you all. Obviously, in front of everybody else. It's not gonna be weird.
It's always weird.
Mwah.
Yeah, I know.
Right? Oh, my picture's in the wrong place. You have to cover up the words and such for this game.
Oh, because I'm gonna start typing some.
Yeah,
text.
because Misha's gonna type bad stuff up there in the text channel. And I'm gonna have to like cover up because he's gonna be like, he's gonna type Mona.
Let's type
See,
it.
see, do it. Type Mona. See what it does.
I'm not in. What? I'm confused.
In the texting, type T and then type like
Oh,
that.
Up there.
It's a 4-letter word. Mona's a 4-letter word, and it comes up as stars. Yep. See?
Yeah, but Hi does it.
I typed in boobs.
Oh no!
and block it out.
I mean, the Mona is definitely a 4-letter. So.
Him.
Hi,
Interesting.
Buggy. Hi, baby. I got a kitty. I got...
I gotta go down a little bit further.
Hi, Buggy. Baby.
Cover you guys up. Gotta make my face bigger. Scary. Yay! Now it's all covered up.
It's our test because you know us. We're crazy on the chat.
Not that it really matters because you guys are used to it.
Yeah, we don't usually, but
It's just the habit of covering it up because just in case.
yeah.
Firestorm, go. Yeah. Youth.
Uh,
How do you spell? So what is youth?
That is so funny. Buggy has locked eyes with you, Mono. She's like,
Uh-oh.
she's staring back this way now. But
Busy
she's just
thought.
staring up at the screen, looking at you because you're the only thing that's moving on the screen. Who's that? Who's that?
So here we go. Back to me.
Get her.
There you go. Like, here, get it. I don't know. I feel like string yarn hair. Get attacked.
Oh, there it is. Oh yeah. Like that's gonna
I
be
got
good.
my blade too.
I don't know. I'm playing with a cat, by the way. Where's the plant
Who needs a cat?
that
when you
shares
can play?
my name? It's in the other room. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. How did I not know that? But I didn't know that. I didn't remember that.
God damn it.
But yeah, we'll get started
Princess
here.
is cheating, Mono.
Princess. 444. Princess is kicking booty. Yeah. somebody. And while you guys are eager, we haven't done one of these in a while. Mm-hmm. Hi, Shane!
Lesson 3.
77 months. Holy cow. Thank you. Yeah, Shane, you joining us? Do I need to wait 5 seconds?
Say you're gonna join and beat us all in.
Yeah, he's gonna come here and kick our booties. He's gonna be...
Good, because second is the first winner. Not really, but...
I mean... Can be. We can change the rules. We have before.
Well, you're the first loser,
Hi,
so that means...
Firestorm. Welcome to the stream. And... No! Anybody else is here? Make sure I didn't miss anybody in
Oh
chat.
my god.
I'm trying to join now, but if y'all have been waiting long, go ahead.
No,
That's fine.
join. We need people.
Yeah, we're taking our time. You're good.
I feel like this is like a bar that nobody's showing up to, so we're gonna start
It's for
going
the first one.
outside. No, we're gonna go outside and start
We're not-
flashing people, make sure they can get into our bar.
I think J3's playing too, because he messages me every time I go live with golf.
No, yeah, I got
What?
one too.
Did you?
Yeah, it pops up all
He
the time,
must
too.
be. Yeah, he is playing. I don't know how many people he's got though. It just
Yeah,
makes
I'm
it
gonna
hard
go-
to get our communities to join together. It's difficult. But yeah, he usually messages me every time.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get.
Oh, he's only got 2 people.
He does? Well, let's join forces.
I'll message him privately. I think he did this a few months.
Oh.
If I can remember how. Ooh, it looks like he just got started though. Maybe not. He might be on his last full.
Man, I gotta fix this. I can't wait. I get my new headphones tomorrow. My ear hole is falling off.
But ear hole falling off. That sounds like a personal problem. How does your ear hole fall off? Just kidding.
Yeah, he always has a lot of personal problems. It's a joke, and I realize his ear hole is not on. Are we gonna join forces?
I'm waiting for his reply. I don't think he's seen my message.
We only got
Let's
2.
see.
We got 4.
We got 4, and it's just him and one other on his stream, so
Yeah.
depends on if he thinks they'll want to
Put
go
that
over here or not.
together.
I'm
It's 16.
Cleaning up dirt because apparently Puddles found the thing of cat grass and knocked it down, so now there's dirt everywhere.
I would love a plant, but I will never get one because of my cat.
I understand that. I am enjoying my plant phase of life right now and wanting to buy plants all the time.
Yep.
Yeah, because I know once the cat phase happens, the plant phase has to go away again. Because I don't know how Rain does it.
Well,
I don't
you
know how
can
she balances
always-
plant
a lot of
and
times-
cats.
A lot of
Because the
times you
cats
get,
don't really want to go after the plants that I do have.
It's because you got 500 of them. I think they've gotten comfortable.
No,
Well,
lost,
you
like,
can
half
always
of them.
put them in a different room, or you can always put them in where they, outside in a weird way.
no, well, I don't have an outdoor space, so I don't have a choice.
I usually put it on my like next to my helicopter.
Were you guys talking about
Like I
plants?
said, yeah.
Yeah.
But
My
like
wife
I
got
said,
me
I am
bunch
now
of plants
cleaning
for my
up
office.
So you
A
can
lot.
smell oxygen.
of dirt because Puddles knocked down the thing I was trying to grow his cat grass and nip in. Which I'm kind of pissed about.
It is nice though to smell. Actually, I like smell.
See, my office was previously the owner's wife before the merge happened, and once the shift would be over, would be sitting in her. She was
Yeah,
a heavy
message in
smoker,
Discord. Yeah, I messaged back.
and she would
I
smoke
messaged back, Shane.
a lot.
She must have lots of
And I'm a
energy.
smoker too, but man,
That's what cat and plant life.
it takes a lot to get that smell out of a room.
Yeah, plants
Cool.
are a nice natural cleanser though.
Yeah.
I like having them. I definitely don't have a lot of energy random.
Well, cheers, Wiggles, and everybody. Cheers.
Here's her. You're here.
Yes.
I am kind of upset. He like basically destroyed the.
Ooh, that's fancy. What are you drinking? Is that a margarita?
Pizza. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I'm happy about it too.
it looks pretty amazing.
I got one more that I can make. I bought enough stuff to make two. Limiting myself because I'm dieting.
Good.
So it's my splurge night, Friday night. Pizza sounds good too, Snappy.
Hi, Bucky. What are you doing?
Either that or she's really bored, LOL.
Me?
It's regular, standard, limey lemon margarita flavor. It's not like a fruity one. I thought about getting strawberry, but I didn't. Okay, it's gonna tell me if I have Chansey.
Me and tequila are not friends.
No.
No.
I love margaritas.
Tequila makes me.
To be fair,
Pineapple would be good.
I love tequila. It's
I've
just.
never
I
had
think-
tequila.
Watermelon margaritas are good
I've
too.
had margaritas, but I've never had tequila. I get mine with vodka in them
Oh, really?
because I know I can handle vodka.
Yeah.
I've just never had tequila.
So one of my good friends here actually lives in Lake here with me. He's Mexican, and he gets like really good tequila from home, and he always has me try this. It's habanero tequila, so it's like spicy, peppery, but that agave flavor still. Oh my god! I love tequila. It just does not love me.
Understandable. It reacts the most to me, but not like negatively, I guess you'd say.
If I have one too many, I will make poor life choices.
Yeah. I feel that
Yeah.
part.
I wonder what happened. Like, he offered me a job, and then I don't know what happened.
I feel that.
Hello. You?
Hello. Let's see.
Oh, bathroom. Oh, wait.
What? Okay.
A party. I'll be back.
Welcome, Shane. I guess that's it. Probably not, because they're not looking at their messages, so.
So good. We can do this one, and then if they
Yeah,
do,
we'll just wait for Rain to come back. 'Cause
Well, we're golfing. We don't want rain.
I think they got enough people starting to join us what it is they're waiting on their crew too.
Yeah, it's all good. But on Sunday, I'm gonna go driving range because my grandpa wants me to go golfing on Tuesday, and he was a semi-pro. So I'm like, I had to get, I had to hit probably 500 balls just so you even get warmed up. Yeah, I'm in that golf phase right now.
Yeah.
It's a good time for it.
Yeah, I hope I've actually read chat too. Because I'm missing out on things. Oh, nobody caught the Pokemon. We tried.
You had to catch them all.
Pineapple margaritas are good. I like mango, pineapple. They make them in like every flavor. But the one I was eyeballing yesterday and today was the strawberry and the watermelon. But then I was like, nah, because if I bought like this giant thing of it, then I had to like drink the giant thing of it.
Well, why not?
Because I'm on a diet and that's a lot of sugar. I don't know. They probably have like skinny margaritas. I would just have to look.
Skinny. Well, anything with
Even
alcohol
chocolate.
is
Well, they have chocolate martinis that are really good, but not margaritas. I love a chocolate martini. You can make like a strawberry chocolate martini. Oh, it's so good.
Those are delicious.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
that's
called
alcohol.
I think it's called 360 vodka or something. Double chocolate vodka or something. And then there's like a strawberry tequila. Yeah, it's a strawberry tequila and a 360 chocolate vodka, and you mix the two together, and it's extremely dangerous and very good. Tastes like a chocolate covered strawberry. Margarita martini, the alcohol choice. Margarita has tequila, and martini has vodka. And a martini usually comes with like an olive, and you can get it fancy on the rocks or not. And a margarita comes with salt on the rim or sugar if you choose. Mine's got salt, and you can get them frozen or not frozen. Frozen margaritas, I love strawberry frozen margarita.
I like a good daiquiri.
And then that's the line where you're going back to the vodka. And vodka's actually my least favorite, but I will drink a strawberry daiquiri. I just love strawberries. So
I thought
Daiquiri-
daiquiris were rum.
Daiquiri reminds me of my parents.
are they rum? I thought they were vodka.
My parents.
Pretty sure daiquiris are rum.
I'd
I
have to
don't know.
look. I do drink.
I had my.
Rum doesn't bother me as much as vodka does. I just don't like the taste of vodka. If you can make me not taste it, then I won't
Yeah,
drink
it's
it.
rum.
Maybe that's why I like them. The only vodka I remember having that I really liked was I always did the lemon shots where you like put the vodka and the
Lemon drop?
rim of the lemon drop thing with the ring of
Yeah.
sugar and the lemon on top, and then they light it on fire. And
Ooh.
of course, you
That's
blow
too
it
much
out
work.
first. You blow it out first, of course, but
I
That was
used
good.
to drink vodka straight. I used to. Not.
now I sound like a lush, like I drink all the time.
I don't
Just
do that.
Fridays.
I go to the libraries.
Hey, we work stressful jobs. Sometimes it's necessary.
We do. Fridays are definitely usually
I do this
almost
for your
every
sake.
Friday. Exactly. There are times at night I will come home and have a glass of wine, but then again, it's usually only if I'm hanging out with people. If I'm not hanging out with people, then I'll just like
That's called
listen to
social
some
media.
relaxing music or something. Take a long hot
Mine
shower.
is a social
Go to bed
drinker
early.
confirmed.
Huh?
Mine is a social drinker confirmed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I am
Yeah.
too, but I have a
Yeah.
lot of friends that
I don't
also-
like drinking by myself.
It's usually not a good idea anyway.
No, I
Yeah.
would never sit
I
there.
think
by
that's when you
myself.
actually have a problem.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing about me is I always drink when the social, when I'm talking. So therefore, but I do it a lot because everybody else around me does it.
Oh,
You
so
have
you're
a
saying
problem
it's
when you
our
wake
fault?
Up in the morning and
It's
you drink.
Wiggle's fault. 100% Wiggle's fault.
Yeah. You know, it's funny enough. You're not the first person to blame me for stuff like that.
I was 10 years old. When she came to this guy.
Bad influence on people.
Let's see.
I don't ever drink alone because it's not my type of thing.
Okay, J3 is gonna stay there because he's basically doing community night as well. So we're good. We're good.
All right. Well, are we gonna fight each other then? No, just kidding. His community was sorry.
Yes, community night battle. Just
Let's
kidding.
all fight each other and hate each other.
I guess you could do it that way, where you each maintain your separate chats, but then have like a shared game. But
Yeah,
it'll
we should
be
have
even
like, a
more challenging.
competition.
It would be more challenging. Oh, because then you could do teams. Oh my god.
Yeah, right
Okay.
there. Oh, jeez.
Maybe I'll figure that out with him, like offline
we'll
one
have
day, and
teams.
say, okay, we're gonna have a community battle, my community against yours, and we're gonna do teams, and we can just play like 2 rounds or something, and then we'll each go back our separate things because we'll stay in our own discords.
No, we're gonna
The
win.
silent
and then we're gonna
battle.
laugh. No, we're gonna
Uh,
win, and then we're gonna start talking mad stuff.
Yeah. What's the difference between Mario? Oh, never mind. I already read that. I'm so silly.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, alright. I'm telling you, mine was so stressed this week. My brain is just
Well, that's
Honestly,
why
I
you
only have,
deserve
like,
a drink.
3
That
sips.
end of
This
the-
is the only drink I've had so far today, so.
That's good.
Yeah, it's that end of the month.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, that and just our busiest time is summer.
Life's
And,
is short.
I also have a new person starting Monday, so we've been doing all the prep work for that, and yeah, it's just gonna stay busy.
10 hours in a
Monday.
day doesn't seem like there's enough hours in the day.
No,
We're always trying to suck.
we're on
everything.
9-hour days right now with a 30-minute lunch, and not really taking my lunch yet. I'm working a half hour late, so I'm working like 10-hour days right now. But so I'm ready to go back to whatever. And that doesn't
can
really
take
bother me
5.
either way. I like working and having Fridays off, but it's hard this time of year.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Wish
matter
I
if I
had
was
my
working
wife's
5
schedule.
days a week. It'd be hard.
My
What's
wife
your wife's
works
schedule?
Monday through Thursday,
10-hour days.
10-hour days.
Yeah.
And it's actually, they're considered full
It's
time
nice.
at 36 hours.
Really?
So she typically works about 38 hours, 4 days a week, and every week she's got a 3-day weekend. And
That's
then
awesome.
on weeks that, like Memorial Day, for instance, that's always on a Monday. That automatically becomes a 4-day weekend.
That's awesome.
That Friday off.
So she gets that for July 4th then, probably. And probably for Labor Day.
Yeah.
Work about killed me yesterday too.
No! Not Shane. It's not allowed.
Oh no.
I felt like I was an ICU nurse yesterday.
Yeah.
Oof.
Oh no.
Save lives is better than what I did.
Well, it's like I had 6 patients, but for 8 of my 12 hours until we finally got this guy out of there, I was literally in his room 90% of the time. I was like, oh my god, this is too much.
Hey.
I understand how you guys do 12-hour days, because y'all's job, for one, is so intensive as is. It seems like you would need all your brain cells 100% of the time, and stretching yourself 12 hours, you have to, like, get loopy or something.
Well, medical care is like.
Unless you just run off pure adrenaline every single day, which you probably do.
Yeah, that's.
But you're
the part
helping,
of it,
and
yeah.
that's what motivates people.
That can't be healthy, though, being on
No, I start to wonder sometimes, at least here recently, if it is starting to take a toll on my health a little bit.
Mhm.
Well, it will. It's just that's.
It'll definitely your mental health. It's going to affect your mental health more than anything.
You have to
Right,
learn
because I'm
how
sure it
to-
takes you like a whole day to recover. I'm sure you just like feel like a sloth for one whole
Yeah.
day.
You have to learn
Mhm.
how to.
And just dealing
I
with
guess,
that
deal
much
with it.
trauma too. Like,
Yeah. Well, now actually on the, I guess kind of on the mental health side of it, I've done this job for long enough that once I get home, I'm able to unwind enough. So it really doesn't, once I leave that building, then it doesn't follow me home.
That's cool.
But it's just while I'm there.
Yeah, it's you're trained, and if something happens, it's not your fault. You're trained.
That's good that you're able to like disassociate for a minute enough to
yeah,
wind
I
down
have a
and
hard
not dwell
time
on it.
turning that switch off. I have a hard
Yeah.
time turning that switch
I start planning the next day out in my head.
off.
All right. But I was actually referring to physical health too because
Mhm.
I was running around one day as always, and one of my CNAs was like, "Shane, you look like you're literally running your butt off. Have you lost weight?" And I sat there and thought, I haven't weighed myself in a long time. I actually have a bathroom scale. It's like
Mhm.
should probably use it more often.
You
And I
should.
remember the last I remember the last time I'd weighed myself prior to her saying that was like probably a good 5 months ago. And I was in like the 190s, and I weighed myself like the day or so after she said that to me. I decided I'd check, and I'd actually lost weight. I'd actually gone down to like 175.
Dang.
And I was like, oh,
It's,
I was like,
there's a
oh
lot of
God.
different
You
reasons.
need to eat a
why.
little more and drink a little more, probably.
Honestly, get
Yeah.
a 12-pack of beer.
When you're that tired all the time, you probably just don't even feel like eating as much.
Well, I think the problem is that, like, when I get home from work, I can pack away the food. I do eat a fair amount, but during the day, I really
You
don't
don't,
eat very much. Like, I almost never eat breakfast when
That
I work.
tells
And then
you-
when I eat, then when I eat lunch, it's like very minimal lunch because I've just got so much going on in my head that I just
Mhm.
don't have the appetite to eat very much. And then when I get home, I try to, eat a whole lot, but
So you're eating 2 meals a
this is
day
starting to
is
get
part
to
of
me.
it.
It was
Well, a
really
lot
1.5 meals a day when I work, but it's starting to get to me, I think.
I need like a
Well-
protein shake or something with your lunch meal that's quick, you know?
Or a protein shake first thing in the morning.
Unless you just can't eat breakfast. Some people can't.
I mean,
Lot-
I can eat breakfast, but it would have to be like at least like 9:30, and I have to get up much earlier than that for work. So
A lot of times for me, it's just coffee. Coffee until
Yeah.
noon.
Yeah.
Usually, to be honest, I drink a full cup before I leave the house. Then I fill up my tumbler, and that's probably half. I have a 45-minute, 50-minute drive to work. That's going to be half gone by the time I get to work.
Yeah.
So I'm usually,
I used to
by noon, I'm 3 cups of coffee in.
Wow.
That really kind of presses your appetite a bit too.
It does. It curbs your appetite big time.
Yep.
It also upsets my tummy, so I can't.
Again, that's
Also,
another one of them things. I drink coffee for your safety.
I like getting Celsius and stuff. That's what I like drinking every now and then in the morning.
And I think part of the problem too is that when I was a CNA, like obviously, like I had a more physically demanding job, but mentally it wasn't as draining.
I'll be around
So I was-
for the next round. Sweet! Sleds, we miss you!
Hey. But yeah, when I was a CNA, even though I was working physically harder, like mentally it wasn't quite so bad. So I was able to like take, my full 45-minute lunch and eat more substantial food. But since I became a nurse, it just got mentally so much going on while I'm at work that, like I said, I just don't have the appetite to eat, and I don't,
Right.
I'm thinking it's finally starting to get to me a little bit.
Let's just watch so you don't keep losing weight. Yeah. If you stabilize at some point, then that might just be your new norm. But if you don't stabilize and you keep losing weight, then that's a problem.
Yeah, and I always, learned in like school, like losing weight without trying, that's never a good thing for whatever reason is causing it. It's never good. So I was
Right.
like, I need to try to solve this.
You're probably intermittent fasting without realizing it as well.
Yeah.
By not eating breakfast and going however long, and then
Yeah, that's weird for me too. I'm for the most part like I can maintain my appetite, but like once I get actually like start getting hungry, it like mentally messes with me. Like I get hangry, so like I have to eat.
You have to get.
You
You're not
hangry?
yourself. Yeah, you're not yourself without.
like
like,
it.
the
Your wife
Snickers.
goes, "You're hangry." We'll talk about this after
What?
dinner.
Here, put this in your
No,
mouth
you
and
need
shut up.
Yeah, you need a
Yeah.
like a Snicker. Yeah, that's what it is.
You need a Snickers.
Because you're not yourself.
Yeah, chicken bite.
Oh, that's crap.
This game cheats.
No, no way.
Get good.
It
For
doesn't
you.
cheat.
I don't
Michigan,
get
are you
it.
just enjoying the view?
Yes.
Oh dang, that was a good move. Oh wow! Look at you! Showing us
That's
how those
called-
moves.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
I think he's officially warmed up now.
No, that was luck. But I'm gonna say, oh no,
Alright.
that was actually very skilled. Yeah. I'm just
Yeah,
awesome.
I think you're warmed up now. I think you're ready
I'm
to
just
go.
so good at this game that I'm just.
Oh, what a. Oh, get it in.
I tried to help.
Dang
Hi,
it!
guys.
Just kidding.
Oh.
Daggone it.
Oh, come on.
I'm not gonna come up.
Double bogey when I was there for birdie.
Michigan, I'm listening to you.
I ain't doing anything. I need a lawyer.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't want to go this way.
We just
Dang it.
lost our assistant meat manager because she's going to law school.
Oh wow,
And he's
that's a huge change.
Oh, yeah.
What did you do before law school? I was a meat manager.
I feel like I would have. I feel like I would have to get a description as to like what exactly is a meat manager.
Right.
The department manager. She was the meat and seafood department.
Yeah, I just managed very well.
Oh, get out.
Well, how do you handle your meat? Well, I did go to schools.
So did any of you get a hole in one doing that? No.
I can occasionally. I didn't get one this time.
Yeah. It depends on the day.
Oh,
Sometimes
I think I
I hit
hit
it
somebody
too
in
hard.
midair.
You hit me. I was wondering what happened there. I just went straight to the ground.
Ah, I messed it up. No albatross for me.
Ah, you asshole.
Wiggles hit me.
You hit me.
No!
Well, you hit me.
No, I'm talking about rain.
You always hit me though. So. That's why
You
I
like
live.
it.
No, this is why I'm Harry Potter. I live under the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Rain, I kind of know what you're saying. When I worked, before I got into medical stuff, I used to work at a grocery store. The grocery store I worked at, the general manager and the produce manager were brothers.
Oh no.
That's funny. It is. Sometimes it becomes a family affair because I know, like, our department manager for the meat department, her son is now a service manager, but he was the assistant grocery when I transferred over to the store.
Assistant.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to find good help, so you hire in the family.
Can I be the assistant meat manager?
No, we
No,
have one.
no, you're gonna be assistant to.
And you ain't gonna get paid nearly as much as you get now, dude. Alright,
No,
remember,
he
go
was
to the
very
top of the
serious
B.
about it. so he wants to manage meat.
How did I manage that?
You get a hole
I
in
don't
one.
know, but you did it right.
I
Well, got a
normally
hole
get
in
a
it too,
hole.
but I managed to bounce over it somehow.
Kimono cheats, obviously, because she knows.
It's rigged. I got all my cheat codes already.
I know. I shouldn't have been saying about it, but yeah. I've never done this worse, or I've never done
Just poorly.
this awesome. Well,
Hmm.
hold on, don't move, Shane. I was gonna hit you.
Yeah, I don't trust that.
Why not?
I may have cheated, Michigan.
Again, I know you're cheating.
It is definitely
Right.
rigged.
I'm letting this slide. I'm letting this
Oh,
slide.
No,
come
no.
on.
I'm letting this slide.
Oh god, I can never do these or do this last one. Well, I say that.
Oh no! Oh, there we go.
Let me stay here. Let me stay here.
Oh yeah, let's go.
30. Nice.
Let's go.
Well, that was
Stood up a
not
little
my
bit.
intended way of getting over here, but I'll take it.
Oh, I didn't want to take the wood.
You got it. You made it.
I'm gonna go off the wood.
Come on, Michigan. Jump.
I can't jump.
That was kind of crazy the way you worded that. Not gonna lie.
Just wait. There you go. Get ready to jump. Jump. Ah,
He stopped moving before he could jump.
I know. He's got time. He can go at an angle, and he can get in there. But he has to do it right after that log hits him, like now. There you go. Now just get in there, hurry. The log comes.
Get in a hurry.
Okay, in the hole, dude.
Yay!
Yeah,
Oh,
shit
we're
to do.
tied.
Nope, no 69s. Michigan, you failed. You were supposed to have 69.
Yeah, but we was all
I'm not
under
last, and I'm under par. That is.
Par. I was like, we
Yeah.
was all under par. That's amazing.
You
I
beat
played real
Michigan.
golf today, so I don't know the difference.
All right,
Alright.
30 seconds. I'm gonna go check.
Yes,
food.
stretch drink. I'm gonna refill my drink.
I'm gonna cry.
Oh. And my foot is numb because I sat on it too long. Oh.
That was my worst performance on the forest. Well, I did 18 holes of golf in real life today, so maybe.
Oh, I guess I should let Spence know that it's that.
Oh yeah, that's true. I did see him pop up saying, "We're not friends anymore." This kid is a joke. But definitely on Monday, I need to hit a bunch of golf balls because, like I said, you know, my grandpa, he's very good. Like, he was a semi-pro. He won championships. So, like, he wasn't no PGA or anything like that.
Yeah.
So,
I don't sports.
I don't know. It's relaxing. I don't. It's probably because me. I don't know.
It's not relaxing for me.
I always think about Wiggles when I'm golfing. F you, mother.
Oh no!
Who are you? I've never seen you in my life.
Oh crap! I always forget that I leave. All right.
Never seen you in my life.
Danger, danger, just joined chat.
Yeah, who is Splint?
Wow, how'd you get in here? Who are you?
Who let me in the door?
Password is the same as last time, but the first letter is capital. Oh yeah, you're already in here.
Oh there.
Yeah, that took me
Yeah.
a second. I kept typing it lowercase, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, I messed
We
up.
changed-
I typed it first letter up.
We changed
Was
it.
it me telling you?
Yeah.
Well,
I
I
messed up.
thought it was auto corrected because you were using your phone or something.
Oh yeah, no.
No.
Smart-ish.
Yeah, well.
No. Hi, hi. Alright, we're all here. Hi, take.
Welcome.
Sorry, I'm
Are you joining us?
Up, Swinch.
Don't be
Yeah,
sorry.
right.
What's up, Wiggles?
I can get my mouse plugged in here.
I know.
Password is the
Yeah.
same except the first letter is capitalized.
Yeah.
Loaded.
I decided to switch it up and capitalize the first letter today.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
She's over here capitalizing on stuff, and we're like, what does that even mean?
Oh, yeah.
She capitalized P in password.
Yes.
1, 2,
I
3.
did. Yes. Password is the
told you that.
password.
I told you that password was not a good password, so she capitalized the P.
I thought that would help. How was I supposed to know?
It does add a layer of confusion to it.
One layer.
A wild horsey appeared.
You got to do it, but instead of capitalizing the P, you like capitalize the W or something.
Oh,
Whoa,
you're supposed to
that's crazy.
capitalize one of the S's.
Team up and running here.
I don't have enough dollars.
Now I'm remembering
Shit.
one time I had to crack a password for my boss. Rainbow tables and all that. Yeah. Okay.
Ah,
I told you all my passwords.
Has anybody?
I don't need you to tell me them. I just know them.
this game is rigged.
Everything's
It's rigged.
capitalized.
Split's gonna win. Confirmed. He's rigged it. He's hacked it.
What do you mean?
Yep.
Well,
I only did well the last time because, well, it happens.
it happens sometimes. Yeah.
Always rigged? Yes.
I was close to a real hole-in-one
Yes, yes, it is.
today.
Poke catch, guys.
Almost
Poke
ace.
catch the Pokemons.
Oh, that's kind of
Awesome.
cool.
I was so close.
So, remind me again. Somebody?
Does somebody message Tank the password?
Does it start with an M or a K?
Okay.
Okay.
And it's uppercase currently.
Well, first letter.
That's all I meant.
What would be
You
another
don't.
one?
It's better just some messages.
It is.
No, we're gonna spell it out so everybody.
We are.
can
So I have to
Yeah.
change it again next week.
God, not again.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom first.
Let me just.
All right.
It's BINGO.
Word.
Password is open
wait.
sesame.
Open sesame.
That's right. I forgot. We changed it a third time, didn't we?
No, she
Yeah.
accidentally capitalized it.
I gotta ask
Yeah,
that
that's
this
why I was
week.
confused. It took me 3 tries. I was like, no, this is the password. And I'm like, oh wait, maybe they really meant it.
I could ask that this week. What's the password? You can't come in the door till you give us the password. I'm like, I just say open sesame. Sesame. What it was the door was not unlocking properly, so it was sticking. So
Did you all
Those
see that on the
Doritos?
Yeah.
that was the.
Doritos on screen.
Okay. So we're ready.
Dude,
see.
now
Oh,
I'm like
Michigan left.
upset because I want Doritos.
You know what I'm
Doritos
saying?
would be lovely.
Stop it! Get out of here.
Some
Oh,
chili
ciders.
cheese
Ciders are
ones.
good. Are those
Those
the
are
honey
so
mustard
good.
or
Honey mustard and onion.
and onion?
Mhm.
Yeah. The original flavor. Yeah. They're
Those
great.
are
They
good.
are incredible.
And the pieces,
Uh-huh.
being pieces
Mhm.
makes it better. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, Kimono, I didn't mean to take
No,
over
you're
snack
fine.
talk.
I like baked potatoes.
And I cannot lie.
Why can't I see y'all's chat?
Nobody's really chatting. They're
Oh.
just donating hearts and Doritos and
Doritos.
I can't see that.
What?
You
Where
can't see
happened?
that on
you
screen
can't
effect?
see the. Oh, maybe it doesn't show up in the streamer view.
It's
Kinda
not
weird.
showing up in the chat for the streamer.
There
Or
has
in
been
the-
How are you guys
five,
doing that?
5 in the last, I don't know, 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, that's why I hadn't seen any of those.
That's weird.
Hey,
On-screen
how are you doing
celebrations.
And now there's 6.
It's probably part of the bit donation things. Okay, I can see it now on
Oh,
this
he's
view.
doing,
I just can't see it in
it's a-
Discord.
It's a new thing. That's
I
what
mean,
it
I
is.
can't.
He's
Yeah, I
doing
can't see it in OBS,
an
but I can see it
emote
here. Okay, I see it now.
Biddy.
I had to change
Emote
screens.
biddies.
Yeah, yeah. It's like
Oh.
there's like 3 emote biddy options now by default, or 3
Oh, just my
activities by default for bits.
Trust Twitch
I
will
should
not
say.
donate. No, I'm just kidding.
But I gotta come up with something silly for those, and I just haven't done it yet.
Mona, what are these cute little kitties? Oh my god.
You haven't looked at my emails in like a week.
The new
Not too
the
many
new Discord
books
emotes.
already,
Yeah.
don't you?
Yeah, Shane discovered them one day. He was in general chat using them, and I was like, "Oh, you found them?"
Yep.
Just saying.
Dude, how much is that
Yeah,
at a
that's-
time? Is that like 40 cents or like
Not even.
$4?
It's
Because
like-
what happened was
It's cents.
Oh, okay.
Discord was like, "Oh, congratulations, you got 10 more emotes you can use." I'm like, really? So I had to go load a whole bunch of emotes. I had to go buy emotes because I mean, Twitch was like, not Discord, but Twitch was like, you
Nice.
need more emotes. I was like, okay, Twitch, keep giving me more emotes. So I brought back the sub emote, and I
Oh,
brought back
whoops.
some of the old ones that
do
weren't
it.
active for a while, and then I went and bought all the little Siamese kitty ones.
And yet I still can't use the booty because it's still tier 2.
Yes, it's a booty,
I
booty,
use my
booty.
Prime. Oh, my cards.
Well, yeah. I still
Bitty,
can't
bitty, bitty.
even use any.
And only I can use this one.
Hamburger boats?
Tex, we are. What's up?
Hi,
We
Dex.
are the
Welcome.
Live Lives.
I was trying to remember
Just
what
go
emote
from the
I added.
hug.
I added back. I don't remember. I added a bunch of emotes back though.
Yeah, because you don't have a tier 3 at all.
What do you mean?
Well, you should have a
You don't.
Krabby
Well,
Patty.
yeah, you don't have a tier 3 subscriber, do
That's
you?
tier 3. No, I don't.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
no.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
I was gonna say.
I don't. I don't even think I have a tier 2 at the moment.
I used to be.
Yeah.
Well,
Was that just a booty floating around on the screen?
It was.
Yes, because I used it.
Djibouti? What?
Or booty emote that I can never have because I can't afford to upgrade my sub.
Yeah, I decided the sus emotes needed to be higher tiers, so that's what I did. The 2 most sus emotes are a higher tier, just because, they're sus. And people will abuse them. So,
I always want to show my booty and support.
40.
alright, I think we're ready. I think everybody's here.
Oh.
Your favorite one, Splints! Oh my
I'm so
god, I
good
forgot.
at it. Yeah.
I forgot how much you love this one. I did this just for you.
No, you're like a dentist. So like you don't like this.
Oh my god, this first level always messes me up.
Not 100%.
Oh my god.
Go from
remember
cookie to cookie on the right hand side. Go from cookie to cookie on the right hand side. Not quite 100%.
Yep.
Wanna go, boy? Yes.
All right, I'll take it. I'll take it. It's not a hole in one, but
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't think I get a hole in one either.
Once you get it, in the whole.
don't stop. Get it, get it.
It took me a couple times. So.
Dude, I used to always go down the middle trying to like bounce off the like little whatever it is, and it never worked.
Yeah.
Never worked.
Okay, so adding
Wait,
the
you gotta
mango.
shoot.
Is that
Hard
the hard Mountain Dew?
Yeah. So adding the mango hard Mountain Dew to a mango Sonic slush.
You
Ooh.
over here in Cloud 9.
Clown that.
To be fair, it's mostly just the Mountain Dew, but it has just enough of that like mango slush flavor that it's like not as.
Got a little bit of the.
Gone and grabbed the strawberry slushy with the real strawberry pieces and added rum to it before. So maybe kind of strawberry
I had
daiquiri there.
nerds in this one. They didn't put very many in there though.
Yeah.
Oh, right, it's a Sonic drink, so put also.
That is a very odd looking helmet on that.
What do you mean?
It's good to put
What
a
is
helmet
it?
on.
Is it Carhartt?
No,
I
it's
don't
a.
know. It's got like a little
it's
tree on the
World War-
side.
Yeah, it looks like a World War II.
Got a
Dude,
logo on the one side and it looks like the Carhartt.
Oh, the
logo.
Carhartt.
Oh,
seat.
cards. Looks like a spade, a card.
Oh, this one. Oh,
Yeah, I know.
so terrible at this level.
Oh, am I gonna get a hole in one?
I didn't even get on the course. F.
Dang it! I accidentally
Yeah,
triple clicked and messed it all up.
we'll be last together. No,
Yeah,
God.
Alright,
but
I'll take that. Yeah!
Oh, come on.
Tank
Yeah,
is going down
I'll take
to
that.
the tiles.
No!
What the?
Oh,
how
I saved it.
How
I
the
saved
hell
it.
did you do that?
I don't know.
I
God's
still
so
don't know
lucky.
how y'all ended up on the shelf. I
Uh-oh.
couldn't even get close to it.
So that's not where you're supposed to go.
What is going on? What's going on?
We're
Oh, Wiggles, that's what I was doing earlier. You gotta hit it just slightly harder
Did I never
on the same
post that
path.
on there?
That's what he said. Or she
Yeah,
said.
well, yeah.
I've actually jumped the half pipe a couple times before.
See?
Oh,
So I set up my Twitter post, but it never went out.
But their new
Oh,
drink,
you could have jumped over the.
a new drinking game. Every single time Splint's voice gets higher, you have to take a drink.
What do you mean, hi?
What do you mean?
You want to come down to my bush?
No, I did.
Well, in the chair.
True, true.
So many holes.
all the holes.
That's what they said.
Like, I'm trying to get to the hole, but there's so many cookies in front of it.
Pyong! Gonna end wreck you all. Apparently.
This ain't pool. This ain't pool.
Just trying.
No!
Just trying.
Splints, I think I ran into
Very
you.
nice.
I
What in the
timed it
hell?
right through the hole, but I went freaking. I'm flat.
Blessed. Don't worry about it.
I'm trying not to be weird.
Damn it.
Are you guys trying to go through the hole? Just go around it.
No.
Yeah, y'all are like, just like, ah! Never mind.
No.
I'm an immature guy.
Holy crap.
How
somebody
the
else
heck?
going wild
Why
over
does
there.
it say high hole 5 over there? And it's not.
That was the most strokes
Hello.
I ever had on that hole.
Alright, there's Strokopotamus.
I'm pretty sure it is, because it's the straightaway.
Are you
Yeah,
a
but I don't remember
Strokopotamus?
those bears.
Why would you?
Apparently, I'm just totally distracted by the hole of one over and not paying attention to what the heck I'm doing.
Yeah, that's how life works.
Someone having a heart attack
all of them.
Too many.
What the? Where's the hole?
Sorry.
Mhm.
This happens every
No.
Friday.
Oh,
Who sent
we
me
all ended up
flying
over
into
here,
the
didn't we?
candy corns? Somebody sent me out flying all the way to the candy corns.
Head.
You wanted some sugar. Sugar.
I think we're just all hitting each other.
Honey, honey.
Thanks, Michigan. I was really ruining that one.
Fine.
Yeah, and you screwed me over.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get last place this time.
I'm rolling in.
I'm trying for
Oh, I might give you a
69.
run for your money.
A little bit.
I'm already at 23.
Dang, I got some work to do.
Oh,
Oh no, this one always messes me up. Ah.
Oh, hole in one. Hole in one. There you go.
hole in one.
Okay,
Yeah, me and you got hole in one together. It was a bromance.
Forever. I got a par. I feel good about that.
I don't ever get a hole in one on this one.
At least I didn't hit the door like I usually do. Like
I always hit the
I
triangle on the
always hit
ground.
the door every time.
That's why I
No,
always
right.
move a smidge to the
Aw.
left.
Mm-hmm. Apparently
But I
I
always
moved too
tend to
far
hit
to
the
the left.
triangle. For
I hit the triangle, yeah.
Triangle? What are
I
you
jump
talking
over
about?
it.
I don't have enough
Oranges.
of a reaction time to do that.
I can't
Ew.
do the donut. Dang it.
No, I can't either.
So close a
I
hole
think
in
we all
one.
hit the.
Yeah, that
Whoa,
was really
whoa,
close.
Sean, can you just
Always
get
go for
off
the
of
Jolly
it?
Rancher.
Get off of it?
Who's Sean?
Yeah, I was about to say, he's not here yet, is he?
I meant
Shane.
Shane. You put two S's together. What does it make? SS.
I was about to say, Thor's
Was
not
it
here yet, is he?
No, I was gonna say put two SHs, but no, the other one does. Sean definitely does not spell it with a H.
SS. Sorry.
Ah.
What the fuck?
Oh, I did not jump. That sucked.
Get in the
Shane.
hole.
Sorry.
Oh,
Now I'm over here.
I was lucky. I
Oh,
almost shot
yeah,
the
yeah.
fence.
We're just gonna. Shot everybody.
I'm just. Okay.
You're just what?
Oh,
Meow.
par 3 on this one. Are you serious?
Do love a good old bulky catch.
Yes.
Oh, lady, you're catching up. You'll probably get me on this
Full
one. because
blast.
The donut always messes me up.
Does it?
Full blast through the donut. Full blast.
It really does. I can't blast through the donut.
Sorry.
No,
I know,
I'm
I
going
said
the
it on
wrong
purpose.
way.
I didn't believe to do that.
I just like up and down into the hole.
One thing about this,
You just. Okay.
Oh, somebody
I've
just.
been getting in the hole all
Oh,
night.
no! What?
I almost had that.
Ah. No.
I'm so much better at real golf. Mini golf is for mini people.
Miniature
What are you
people.
trying to say? It's better for short?
No.
No, that's a lie.
I can't.
Nobody
believe
caught
didn't
it. It is
par.
rigged.
It could have been worse. Like.
I don't drink. It's against my
Oh
rule.
wait, no, I was 1 over par.
I didn't try.
I'm gonna do this one. I'm gonna.
Go ahead, just jump, Michigan. You gotta jump.
You
Close
gotta
my
hit
eyes
it like
when I was
two
doing
and a half, right at the stick.
Just shy of 3 eats.
I would have said 2.25.
That was not 2.5.
I'll give you two.
Yeah, you will.
Sorry.
Yeah, you will. All
You're gonna like
that's
it,
all
too.
of it.
I'll apologize.
Got 39.
I think now he's purposely doing this.
I don't know.
Yeah, I get that way sometimes. Like when a particular hole is messing me up, I'm
He's
like,
gonna
ah.
stroke out.
I'm gonna have a stroke.
I stroke out.
Don't. You're not allowed.
Well, too late. He stroked out.
You guys
What
are terrible.
happened? I thought I was number one.
What happened?
Last good one, you could have had a go.
Oh man, Splint.
I was
I
number
know,
one.
I saw it. You cut up to me. What's up with that?
I have my Air
Oh,
Force
not
Ones
this
on.
hole.
That's
Not
never
this
happened.
hole.
Yeah, you hit each other, I
What?
think.
Oh.
I hit somebody. Alright, I'll let you go first.
I was like, I've never went shooting off to the side on that one. So I was like, what happened?
Oh no, I didn't jump early enough. Ah, I almost ruined that.
No! No! No!
Oh, gonna get up far. Alright, I'll take it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I gained weight.
Just gonna go take the long way. This stuff's being weird.
Well, I can do this hole perfectly.
Be my friends.
You could, couldn't you? Wait, was this bounce?
Bounce, bounce.
Keep on
Oh,
bouncing.
Well, his voice went higher, guys. Danger.
Oh, you're gonna like it too.
Keep swim.
This is why he kept me in his basement.
Oh, that bullshit.
Or at least it
I've
didn't
been
go
watching
off
that
the
stream,
course.
mate.
Hello there. I love you guys. Oh, lady, you killed me.
You love us. Or do you hate us?
Oh, this
Crap.
particular one
Oh,
is
damn.
fucking stupid.
I forgot. This is different course. Dang it. Okay.
Damn it.
I miscalculated. I thought this was the one where you
I
had to jump
never
in the water.
go to the poop way. I usually go the other way.
Hard.
Well, I fully
usually go poopy.
blue, and normally it'll get me to the blue or the poop, but it didn't get me.
I never go to the poop.
Kimono, what are you doing?
She
It's
goes to the
messing
poop.
up.
She goes to the
Only about two.
Try the fudge. Leave me alone. Don't judge me.
I'm just fudging
I'm
around.
judging. I'm judging.
Oh, come on. Yes.
I'm
There it goes.
fudging around.
But now I'm not gonna have enough
Wait,
momentum,
so
I
you
bet.
got it.
I see chocolate. I run away.
That's what you're supposed to do the first time you get a hole in one.
Yeah, well, none of us
But I
did.
failed. I know.
Uh-oh, ladies ahead of me by one. Oh no.
Ladies winning? Well, that means we're all
No.
drug
Yep.
test.
Oh no.
We have to
Oh,
drug
this
test
one messes me up so bad.
Oh, I had it. Damn it.
So close.
Same Wiggles.
My cat's in the
What
way.
the heck?
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Sorry, kitty.
Thank
Why
you,
is
birdie.
it not? Why is my
I
mouse?
still got a birdie.
I'm
Yeah,
over jumping somehow.
Damn it, lady. Give me a chance.
Sorry, not anymore.
And then I'm under jumping. And I don't know what I'm doing
I'm
wrong.
just messing.
My mouse is under hers.
I don't
That
even
one
jump.
again
I
and
just swung it
fun.
at 3 almost directly at the hole.
Prank Monopoly.
There we
This
go.
cross wants to make you
I always jump on that little molehill though, and
jump,
somehow.
jump.
I suck today.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I know.
Wow. Wow.
Mr. 2.5.
That's when you need a
Wow.
new mouse.
Well, you did buy me dinner, man. So that's it.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
Okay.
he's feeling sluggish, that's why.
What is going on? Stop it.
No, my cat
Escape.
was sitting on my
Escape.
mouse.
Ay, ay, ay.
Oh, this one is tough. For
Yeah,
me.
you're on my mouse again.
I'm not very good.
Dang it! Who knocked me off?
Nope. Yeah.
No.
I'm
Oh,
not
I
the
that was
worst.
haven't
very
moved yet,
angry.
So don't
I know
yell
not
at
what you're
me.
talking about.
Don't yell at me, sing song hubby. That's rude.
Yeah, you're gonna have to move
This
those.
conveyor belt is out to murder me.
I think it was Wiggles actually.
No!
I know not.
No, I
You
got
go.
a bocce.
Oh! I'll take a bogey.
Sorry, kitty, you're gonna have to move.
I'll take a bogey.
Birdie.
What the heck, conveyor belt? Did somebody speed you up? I swear it's going faster than normal.
Aim straight to the center.
There we go.
What are you doing to that cat?
Who wants to know?
Stretches.
She always
That's so freaking adorable,
Oh,
dude.
She's so cute. She's such a ragdoll cat
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. If there's
Really
any
is a
doubt,
ragdoll.
is your cat. It's now been confirmed.
It is his.
There is
cat.
no doubt. What happens if you let go? Like move both your hands. Like move your hands away from her.
Just
Oh,
lays there, doesn't she?
I
Oh my
frickin'
god.
ate the lip.
Oh my goodness.
The melted
Lucky.
tea.
Oh, so close.
He's like, why?
She's so
Why have you
precious.
stopped? Oh,
She's so
stop.
precious.
Oh, no hole.
How did you get the fuck out of here, lady?
What'd she do?
You just jumped in the hole.
That's what I do.
It's just a little over 3 eats.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 1/4 all day, I say.
Sorry,
That's
kitty.
what I did, but I ended up somewhere else. Was not nice.
Uh,
I maybe try
Well,
3 1/2.
It was nice having
It could
third
have
place
been
while it
worse.
lasted.
It could have been worse.
Damn it! I
I
can.
thought I was doing
If I
okay
don't-
by getting par. Damn, lady.
Seesaw.
Son of. Oh my gosh! Come on.
Oh, I hate the. I was the last time we played. I was on this hill, going back and forth, back and forth.
It's not
Man,
I
possible.
hate it.
Well.
Every time it happens,
Ah,
it's, I don't even know where
No.
I'm laughing right now.
Look at that. Getting 5. Damn it.
Go over here.
Where's the hole? There's a tree in over there.
the silent. Okay.
mm,
Uh-oh.
That was
What?
really loud.
Oh shit.
Did anybody hear?
Where am I?
mm-mm. No, I
Dang
couldn't
it.
hear it.
I'm gonna have to waste a shot just to be able to jump over the edge. Oh, and I didn't even make it. Dang it.
Remember, I didn't get anything
No!
on Twitter, so I had to make it myself.
Well, Splints, you might
Thank you.
win again.
Yeah, I made it, and then I
No,
thought I
I'm
hit
not.
send, but it didn't go. So I had to do it again. Thank you, though.
Oh my god, I barely even touched it.
Oh shit.
Hello, what's up?
Treetop! Oh my
An
gosh,
hour and a
welcome,
half,
Treetop.
2 hours away. That's pretty fast.
Welcome, 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 welcome. Hope you're doing
Nah,
awesome.
you're still killing me, lady.
Hey, I only need. I have to get.
How's it
9
going? It's
on
going
the rest of the
good.
game.
Okay, south is great, and once we go
This
about
particular
an hour
one
away.
We're
really
just,
messes
you know,
me up.
Messing up in golf
like
as
it.
usual.
I'll take it.
That's what we do. How about you? How good? How
Only
are
one?
things for you?
Okay.
I hope you're doing
I'll
well.
take it.
Hope you're enjoying your Friday.
No, lady, no.
Oh no. Oh no.
I'm gonna try.
Keep popping.
Damn.
Do you play golf?
Make me stop.
I don't even know how I made
I've
it in
been
there. That
good,
was
just
wild.
chilling. Smoking barbecue for the weekend currently. Oh, barbecue sounds
Oh,
amazing.
Michigan's away. I'll be away for a second. I'll be right back.
Okay.
There's a stage.
He's gonna make us wait.
There's this
We were
place.
almost done. We were at hole 15.
Seconds.
3 more holes. We would have stretch break.
There's this. It's an hour
We
away.
took an early
There's
stretch
a
break.
tornado on the ground an hour away, just so you guys know.
Well, hopefully it'll stay away.
Yeah.
Gotta feed my Yeti
Southwest.
size self. I'm sure you're not a Yeti.
I mean, we had a tornado watch. That's like-
But barbecue sounds really good. What kind of barbecue are you making? Like chicken, ribs? What are you making? What are you making?
Oh,
6'7"? Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay, so you are super tall. Dang, that's really
Oh,
tall.
no.
No wonder your name is
Tornado
Treetop.
away, keep
Oh
the
my
weather
gosh.
getting away.
Now I know why your name's
Crap.
Treetop. I had no idea you were that tall.
Dang it! Now I'm all the way over. Ah shit.
What the
6'7"?
fuck am I supposed to do?
Oh,
Wow.
right. Yeah, it's one of these. Okay.
Hey, who touched my ball? Who touched me?
Not me.
Yeah.
pulled pork today and
already
brisket
know.
tomorrow.
You
Oh,
touched
brisket
my
is so
balls.
good.
Son of a. Well,
Yeah, you guys are getting frisky out here.
at
Dang.
this point, I may end up last.
Oh, no.
Oh, way
Dang
too
it.
hard.
Shade's turn to be last.
Yeah,
Oh no.
I won last time. Now I'm probably gonna
Oh.
not.
I never hit
Right
it.
in the poof.
Right in the-
Right in the poof.
Oh,
It-
I
it-
jumped
it's-
over it.
Oh no.
It's slain. Yeah.
Oh, I love me some pulled pork.
Yeah, me too.
Dang it.
Oh, sounds amazing.
I'm on the course.
Okay.
Of course, it wasn't.
I love that it's a short work week next week. I'm so
Look at you
excited.
guys. Oh
Ah,
no, not this one.
short work week for the win.
This
Oh,
one
too
messes
far.
me up most.
The most, really?
Yeah. I mean, I say that on every.
You mean golf? You mean Candyland in general?
Ugh.
Truth, I can't wait. Right?
Thanks, whoever hit me.
Oh, I did it. I'm playing pool. I did it because I was making sure your angle wasn't good. So I made sure you-
I'm supposed to be.
Yeah,
in
I'm
there.
so
I messed
ready
it up.
for the weekend.
I'm
The long
losing.
weekend
I'm
will be
losing, so
love.
I figured I'll help you.
I'm losing, baby.
There we go.
What? Why am I up here?
I took one stroke off his game.
Anybody else partying or barbecuing next weekend, doing exciting things for the
I
4th?
don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, we're going up north.
I'm gonna make
Get a
fun of John
3-day
the whole
party.
time.
Nice.
Alright.
I like because he's British, so I have to make fun of him. And then I have a firework.
Right, double.
I'm lame. I don't have any plans yet.
Here, so I'll be at work.
Oh, I'm at 69. I'm done. I'm quitting.
Oh, you gotta work.
I'm working. I'm taking a
I'm going
half day.
fishing next weekend.
You go snap.
I'm getting paid time and a half either way.
Will not be lighting no fireworks.
I'll be off, but I don't know what I'm doing yet.
Dude, that's how you kill the. You throw a grenade into. the-
Probably
No.
eating my face. Sounds like a plan.
No!
They weren't just
Why did you
throwing
do
a-
that?
a
Damn
smoke
it.
bomb down the ground for gold.
Cat, you smell like poop. My cat.
Oh,
Let's
did she
go.
have a thing again?
No. There we go.
Okay.
And
No,
Oh,
stop.
jeez.
Oh,
I was doing so good. I was doing so good. Until that moment.
It's the frickin' Marble Alley.
And I wasn't.
This one always messes with me.
There we
Hold
go.
on, Wiggles.
I-
Okay, thank you.
Most of the time can get it in 2 shots, but
Actually,
sometimes
Wiggles, you
there's-
really helped me out. I appreciate
there's
that.
marbles though.
What I'm here for.
I got a bar.
There's marbles in. Who knew there'd be marbles in golf, right?
So I have had
Apologize,
versions on that
Kitty.
hole.
I did.
I will
Alright,
take
I'm gonna
it.
go
Yeah,
grab.
I made second. That's not bad.
Alright, is it stretch break time again? Stretch break, guys.
Yeah,
Run. Get your drinks.
I gotta
Do your
stay
things, do your
by-
stuff.
Shit.
Stretch break.
That's fine.
Maybe the next
I'm gonna
stop.
try and get like a little thing together because we have that tornado watch.
Uh-oh.
Go do that.
There's a confirmed tornado like an hour away. But
A warning would be actual.
We'll play 1 or 2 more rounds, then we'll probably do some crazy AI
20
stuff.
miles is an hour.
Live.
Oh, that'd be awesome. to do
Yeah, I know.
AI.
Yeah.
still,
We are. We're gonna do the AI thing, the game that we
Yeah.
play in
One more round.
Discord
and
live.
some that are like, there's a huge storm coming from like 30 minutes
Glad to
away
see you,
too,
I'm gonna
so-
lurk. Thank you so much for the lurk. Much appreciated. It's good to hear from you.
It's the same
So,
system.
you're always cooking awesome things, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend, this weekend and next. But yeah, thank you for the lurk. Gonna stretch real quick and do some stuff real quick. Everybody's on stretch break. Michigan, you're in charge. Just don't.
What? That's
Good luck.
Oh,
Ooh.
uh-oh.
Naked Hour.
I'm gonna grab some popcorn. Got one in the microwave.
I'm in charge. This is dangerous.
Dalton's not worried about it.
It's Wiggle.
No, my dad got scared, and I looked at the radar. I was like, "Oh, you're fine."
I
I can
been
read-
watching YouTube people, so
No. Well, there's nothing wrong being. There's nothing wrong being
max
educated.
velocity on right now.
There's nothing wrong to being educated about it. Nothing.
It
But-
usually goes around us. But
No. Like I said,
we're on a
know-
wonky spot. It's weird.
No. Just know your area and see how the system goes. Like, I can't speak for you, obviously. So I don't.
Speak for me.
Oh man, I love edamame.
Edamame.
He's over here getting mouth wet. Well, ladies here, so I don't have to take control.
What?
No, you're taking control.
Oh no.
Of what?
Everything.
Everybody.
Always take.
I don't
I'm not-
control anyone.
Or any.
She gave me a simple task, and then I would have let people just get naked.
We're
That-
not on
that would be
stream.
weird.
Nobody can see us, so
Oh, that means we can. Hell yeah, that's good.
Put it on.
I
Put
still
it
wouldn't
on.
advise it though.
Look at my hair chest.
Put it on. Put it.
Oh, NASCAR, if you want to see that.
Yeah, it looks like you got laser, literally.
Dude, that should be like your opening statement. Dude, you want to see my scar?
Oh, I think that's,
You want some-
that's quite nice.
Well, you're a little poppy.
What's that?
I cleaned that. I think.
You cleaned it.
I've seen people where it's from
Dude,
their
I
armpit
left
and
my
it's like,
fork in it. I left my fork in it. It was cool if I get my fork back.
I'm gonna do weirdo
Welcome
things now.
Yeah, the
Oh, I got the
mods
hiccups.
the mods banned me. Is that okay?
Yeah, I mean, I figured.
Got about 30 seconds till popcorn is done.
Hype. I'm just proud of
Alright,
hype.
we'll wait.
Well,
We'll wait.
Lady put me in a
Thank you.
headlock and then started punching me.
Yep.
We're waiting for
Thank
Tate's
you, Wiggles. Give
popcorn.
for the hype biddies.
About 20 seconds.
It's weird that the biddies didn't pop up as an alert anymore, though, because I guess because that one just does a thing, so it doesn't do it as an alert
Yeah.
too.
Well, let's do
Um,
one
I wish it
more.
did it as an alert as well, so I could
Between pops.
have the sound. Yeah, I need a weirdo.
Just don't burn it, dude.
Oh,
Maybe
God, I
we
can't,
What flavor was that, Mono?
Shrimp?
I can't stand burnt
Oh.
popcorn.
Flavor. Yeah. Or
Ugh.
salt.
I keep
one
usually
where Josh
the
drink first shot.
chicken,
Undercooked.
the soy sauce, sometimes the pork. I don't ever keep the shrimp flavor.
You know, I mostly get beef or chicken.
Beef is fine.
Beef is my favorite. Chicken's my second. But every now and then I'll look for shrimp.
They're all done popping.
Talking about
I
ramen?
don't get scolded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she's
Oh,
talking about
okay.
the bar, because beef is her, like, she likes to beef. Chicken, like, when they run away.
What were we talking about? The meat manager?
Either or, we'll do one more.
Ray, you love me?
Let's go.
I think I
I
just
see
think
her
it's
face.
just the
Just eat
who's
that
from
dry.
who's from.
Woos Frabba? I would, but my
And I'm gonna add
ears
some
are behind.
popcorn.
My nose.
Flint, what headset do you have? Are those the A50s?
Yeah,
Ah,
they're a waste
Dang
of
it.
money. Don't buy them.
Oh,
Look, catch.
well, that's too bad because they're gonna be here tomorrow.
Back in a minute.
I mean, you'll like them, but they're a waste of money.
Well, I had the A40 TRs for literally like 8 years, 6 years.
I know. I had the A40s for almost 8.
Then I went to these and I fucking hate these. The pads keep falling off.
You weren't kidding about the nose.
Well, I got A10s, so I'm boss.
Put all the seasonings in there.
Oh,
Yeah.
Why would you eat it dry like that? That's just messed up.
I said that too, but I don't judge.
What? I didn't know that's what you were doing.
Mhm.
I have
Yeah.
never seen that
I've seen her do
before.
it before.
What?
I've seen her do it before.
you're
It's still
clearly
weird
not a
every
Boy
time.
Scout. That's
Oh,
how
yeah.
they
It's
do it.
like potato chips at this point. It's like
Well,
having
eat-
potato chips.
Well,
Huh.
each package is 1,300 milligrams of sodium.
Yeah, it's literally like having a bag of potato chips at this point. I'll just do that. I made it raw forever, but I didn't know to put the seasoning on it until like a
How's
year
your
ago.
kidneys? How's your
Somebody
kidneys?
taught me live on stream
They're
that you don't
falling
put
out,
your
don't
seasoning
worry.
in there. I didn't think it would stick, but it does because of all the grooves in the ramen. The seasoning sticks.
You know what the weirdest thing? Speaking of kidneys, one of the weirdest things I've seen when I was in nursing school, I was in a dialysis clinic one day, and I saw a guy come in for his dialysis treatment with a bag of Bojangles.
The
I
Bojangles.
was like, bruh.
He's like, hell yeah.
He's like, look, I'm getting my money's worth, all right?
I was like, that's one of the worst things you can eat when you've got kidney problems.
Hey, well,
Have some fat.
luckily I have good, I have good kidneys. Luckily, so it's always good to be thankful for that.
What the?
Yeah. Sorry, I hit you, buddy.
Hey, baby. You
Oh,
okay?
somebody hit me.
Sorry, Biggles.
There you
You
go.
want some?
You're
I
not.
messed you up.
That's
My
okay.
bad.
I mean, to be fair, it kept me from getting a hole in one too.
Damn.
I think we all got
Hello.
twos. Oh, well, except for Tate.
Where'd my hat go?
It's supposed to be a par 0.
Less strokes.
Oops.
More folks.
Means more dope.
Really?
Oh,
Do you want
Two.
Okay, we all have 2. We're all tied for first. That's
Hey.
cute.
Hey, we're Dumber and Dumber 2 over here.
Dumber and dumber and dumber.
And Dumber. Well, somebody had to get a 1.
That was so
Yeah.
close to a hole in one. What the hell?
like that?
Yeah, like
that was
that.
luck.
Yeah, like that.
Almost everyone just did.
That was accident. Pure wonderful
I want to
accident.
be mad, but I'm not.
I wasn't even trying, was the bad part.
I gotta get Monty his thunder.
Mono, I wish I could see the replay because I didn't even see it.
Aw.
I just saw it show up on the scoreboard. Like,
I mean, y'all can
hole
clip
in
it.
one.
Well, I'm
Somebody
a
clip
trash
it,
bag.
quick!
I'm glad.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here in about 3 or 4 days, she'll put up the VOD. So
Oh yeah, I can't watch the VODs because it's got my voice in it.
Well, I'm the same way. I always like it, and then not, I don't watch.
yeah, I always like the VODs, but I don't have usually the time or the patience to rewatch.
Oh, I appreciate y'all liking them on
It's not even
YouTube.
that, it's
If
just
you don't even
I
have time
literally
to-
cannot hear my voice. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Trust me, I
If y'all don't have time to watch them or don't want to watch them, that's fine. But if y'all like them, that really helps.
Yeah, I liked everything.
Every like helps.
Guys, you guys are
That
gonna
was
have
cool.
to, I'm gonna hop out because I have to
Okay.
take the doggo out.
Be safe.
Starting to storm.
Be safe. Be prepared.
That's a good
You got
plan.
this.
Take the dog out before the wind.
We'll be here.
Decides to sweep the dog in you away.
I want
Mhm,
to say,
mhm.
you're already in. Never mind. I was gonna say,
Are you kidding me? I'm right in front of the freaking.
I went to another hole.
How did I manage that? I skimmed right over the hole.
Yeah, well, that's what my dad taught me.
Did you? Could you?
Oh, damn it.
Could you?
Oh,
How are you supposed to get that in 2? Like, that's a fucking crazy par 2. Just saying.
I just did
Could have
know.
gotten it in 2,
It's a
but I
par
messed up.
cheesy.
I was about to get it in 2.
Yeah, you were. My bad.
That was about
Yeah,
true.
We're immature people.
Hmm.
No,
Speak
I
for
did
yourself.
notice.
No, you're immature too.
Oh, that didn't work. A little bit more.
Albatross.
Oh my
eagle.
god.
Eagle.
No, I
trying this.
swished it in there. It was a hole in two, but I swished it in there. Oh my god.
Nice.
Dude,
I was right behind you, buddy. I was
Good
right
job.
I literally did 18 holes in real life. So I'm a little tired right now.
Oh yeah.
He did 18 holes
Next
today.
finger.
So he's playing golf on top of golf.
Yeah, I did the normal golf and now I'm mini golf.
Oh no, you having trouble with your fingers?
Playing
Hell
as a
yeah,
violin.
bro.
Do your fingers hurt?
Wait a minute. John.
My fingers
John, I
hurt.
don't
Well,
like
now
this
you're
Wiggle, wiggle,
asking
wiggle.
for
because all the guys die on the
for
Titanic.
landscaping duty.
All the guys die on the Titanic, so this is...
Damn.
Oh, I did that. Damn it. Damn it. Nothing.
Ah,
There we go. I'll take it.
Nothing.
that was bad. Let's see. Try to get up here and stay.
Oh, come on. Get in the gosh dang hole.
I know,
This
right?
way. Oh, I just overshot that big time.
Big tip.
Dang it.
Die.
I blame you all. I always get hole-in-ones.
Wiggles, what was with that message you sent me the other day?
Uh-oh.
Hold on. I gotta look it up because it confused me.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
In the open...
Oh, it was the dude from it's
I
What
didn't
am I
write
trying to
Wiggles
say?
up.
whose line is it anyways, and he's like, you were just saying hello? Is that your
Yeah.
hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was saying hi.
Yes. I
Nice.
seen you.
I'll catch.
I wasn't gonna be on long, and I seen you were in Discord. I'm like, you know what? I'm about to head out. I'm gonna say hello to him real quick.
No! I jumped over Michigan, and
I
it
thought someone was
cost
gonna
me.
help me.
I know, I should have helped you. It cost me not trying to help
No,
you.
I'm going this way now.
Wiggles, don't trust that dude over there. Go left.
Want to do it? I want to do it.
Don't trust him. Go left.
Nope.
I'm going
I want to do it. Not the boss of me, lady.
Never. Hold on. First of all, Lady's not here, and go left. Okay, well,
I'm over here.
I could not have predicted that. I could not have predicted.
Jump, jump, jump.
Guys,
That's
that
what I
was the
said.
quickest fucking like potty trip for the dog ever.
Dog didn't want to be out there either.
Oh, they sense it. Yeah, for
Well,
sure.
he doesn't like storms anyway.
They're like, Mommy, it's raining.
But like
Michigan,
this
what
dog
did you just do?
takes forever outside. The fact that
Why
he
would you go
went
in the
outside,
hole?
he peed
I
and
was
immediately
ready.
bolted towards that apartment.
Why would you not? Why would you not? You were right there.
No, there was not no great
No.
fire.
There was
No,
definitely
no.
not any.
I wanted a great fire and some candles.
Oh, come on.
Set up.
Who
No, I didn't.
the fuck? Tank. Alright, I'll accept it.
Yeah.
I've messed you up before. It's alright.
Sorry, I
thought
almost
I
went in the furnace.
No,
by
no,
myself.
no. It's fine. I've messed you up before.
What do I do with all these Pokemon? You gotta catch them all.
Nothing.
That's what you can do.
No
I
longer plays
was
Pokemon games.
seriously
We can
upset
actually
at
do anything
the
with it.
first.
I
was
do.
like,
I just
"Who
don't play it on
fucking-
the Switch.
Who did that to me?
Not the furnace. Hi.
Joe, just you're fine.
Just die.
Just give it.
Oh, I think that worked.
Okay, you didn't have to go that hard.
Hey, well, it worked. So yeah.
Hey, at least you didn't land on that little pad that was sending you to the fire.
No.
No, I'm gonna go.
It would have got you. Oh, whoa,
Oh.
you just gonna go in the
Like
fire
that.
by yourself?
Like that. You told him at least you didn't do that, and then he
Just
exactly did that.
like that.
No, I did on purpose.
Oh my god, what are you doing?
Like I was thinking, maybe by the time Pokemon Z comes out, you'll finish Scarlet.
It's like, by time I get in this hole.
Hold on, I'll be serious.
I've never actually played a Gen 6
I'm gonna go make a drink real quick.
like
I'll be back.
game, so that'll be cool, I think.
Alright, Wiggles, I will hold off on my
Michigan,
shot
that was
as I
a
can.
long way around that, but you finally made it. You trying to purposely get 69 points, aren't you? But you've got a long way to go.
At this rate, I'm gonna get 169.
The summer of '69. I mean, you know, it happened.
I messed that up.
Summers.
I'm in the fire. Through the fire.
Dude.
All the way.
Evil.
Oops.
I'm gonna be in the hole so quick, you guys didn't even know.
Yeah, I know.
I'm in the hole. Sorry, guys.
Oh, I
Oh,
fell
no,
off the
yo.
fucking ledge. Are you kidding me? God damn it. Sorry, I didn't mean to upset anybody who's.
It's still going.
Still a legitimate curse, if you ask me.
Yeah, sure. Ah!
Oh.
Stroke it all out.
I thought you heard the Family Guy episode where Peter has a stroke? That's what I thought of when you said that.
Jeez.
Look, when the people on the boat start rowing, stroke, stop mocking
I'm
me.
gonna have a stroke.
I'm waiting for a pirate special where they kill all
Mhm.
people.
Kill Hall. That's a hell of a punishment.
It truly is.
You gotta think, like, the boat's got like barnacles all over it. Yeah, I might as well have gone down there like you did, Wiggles. I fucked up.
I don't know.
You're still ahead of me. Don't worry about it.
2 seconds.
Oh well. Okay, that's.
10 seconds.
Actually, he's
He
alright.
doesn't know. Oh, shit. Sorry, I got flash on.
Get it in the hole.
Oh, not hard enough.
Oh,
Damn
so
it.
close. Oh no. So close.
1 second
Oh,
left.
no.
No. Oh shit! I hate this one.
Mhm.
Me too.
I did not hit that hard enough.
I hate this one so much. So much.
No.
I always get confused here. That's the thing. After the first shot, I'm like, wait, where do I go?
Why blocked me? You're an officer.
No.
Oh, nah. Yeah, see,
Damn it.
I always get stuck down here.
Dogs are evil.
How did I manage that?
Gosh, dang it. What?
Stay on the course. Stay on the course.
What? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
What happened there?
Oh, nine. Whatever, I'm over here. God damn it.
You started in German, but then it almost sounded like some sort of British accent there at the end.
Mm-hmm.
This is if World War II did not have America. They would've probably been
Nine.
It sounded like if you was living in like
No! What?
How many
Give
Jenners
me
did you
that!
How?
uh,
How did you do that, Splits?
Yeah. I bet you if you did it again, tried again, you wouldn't be able to do it.
Dude,
Did you
I
like
was just-
bounce out of there?
I did. Yeah.
no, he
Oh my
likes-
god, what? Oh, I didn't even hit it hard enough. Fucking
I was trying to help you.
stupid.
I never noticed that annoying security camera sound before. Like,
I have the sound muted, so.
I never
It's
noticed that before.
13 on a par 5. Cheers, everybody.
I mean, I've always noticed the sirens once you
still-
go into the hole, but
No, Mono is caught up with
It's
me.
still what, Wiggles?
I don't know how.
I'm still last.
So I've been messing up. That's how.
Let's fix that. Let's fix that, Shade. Oh, he hit me.
It's alright.
Why you hitting her?
So that Shane could get the lead.
I didn't hit nobody.
It was Splints or Wiggles, I don't know. Somebody.
Alright, we gotta go across the water.
I guess it's cricket noises.
Yeah,
Just annoying.
boy.
You
No,
normally
why?
watching Cricket. Yeah, you don't normally.
Why am I having
Yeah,
such a
boy.
hard
Oh,
time?
I didn't hit it hard enough. Damn it, I should have had that in 2.
I'll take an eagle.
I should have had in 2 as well, and I keep
Oh,
messing
it's a
it all up.
Well, they call me the bald eagle.
Come on, go in the hole, save me. Thank honest. That helped a little bit. Because I really messed up. Hey, they called Pokemon. I didn't even realize that. That's why you were
Oh,
like,
this
what do
one
we do with
is-
all these?
God dang it. I'm so terrible at these where I can't see the...
No.
Anyways, I can't wait for the AI things that we're gonna do.
Yeah, pure chaos. And you guys get to help.
That was close.
Yeah, I know.
Help create chaos.
Yes.
Yep,
This is
I'll
how
take
it
that.
works.
That's good.
I'll take
I
that.
have. What do I do here?
Maybe.
Dang, what a rim job.
Hey, now.
Splits is good at that. Dang.
I would have called it swirly, but he has no victim.
Please never do that
Mhm.
again.
Two vibrations.
Alright.
Spam.
Come on, guys. I'm already.
Hey, everybody
yeah.
had to click the little button that said you're over 12, right?
18, yes, it's over 18.
Oh, we lost a few.
What? You have to be over 18? Sorry, guys. I can't.
No.
I
You can't all of a sudden convert to cat years on us. We know how old you
Oh no.
are.
I'll take a break.
Right. Well, my
did not hit it. Oh, wait. Oh, are you kidding
Why
me?
is this thing like this?
What kind
I
of
just want
bogey?
AI.
I'm having like the worst luck tonight that I've ever had. I don't know.
Terrible.
I've had so many holes today. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
This guy over here. is like,
Overachiever.
"Oh, I've had 18 holes prior, but now I'm here for more."
No, this is called the
Overachiever.
mini. No, it's called the mini. I had the 18 full holes, and then I had the 18 mini holes.
And then you get to go play
Did you do
putt-putt
that?
golf tomorrow, right? Just
It'll
kidding.
work, I guess.
No, I'm golfing on Tuesday because my grandpa wants to. So I have to.
That's cool.
It's a great path.
That'll be a proper course, I'm guessing. Then.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna be a lot of money course, and I'm not used to it.
Yeah. No, I mean, well, I weren't on about that. I mean, difficult.
No. Like I said, he was a semi-pro, and he has blah blah blah.
He's
has
got
a
that
lot-
blah blah blah.
He has a lot of He has a lot of euros, and it's just.
Heroes. Are you a hero?
Oh shit! Damn it, Steve.
Scuba Steve.
But
How
it's
the
like-
fuck did
Oh,
you
wait,
even
let's-
manage that?
He
anyways,
just like went all the way around the ring, but the ring.
Right?
on Sunday or probably Monday, I'm gonna hit probably 500 balls just to make sure.
You can be all tired out and not be able to play as good.
That's what I was trying
I'm
to
not
tell
that
him.
old.
I'm
I'm
like,
not
you're
that
gonna get
old.
all
Oh,
fucked
you don't-
up.
No,
Not
you
that
don't.
old.
No, trust me. 500 balls is a lot.
No,
It's a lot.
people don't understand anything.
Or are you just over exaggerating the 500?
569.
Birdie.
500.
No,
No! What the heck?
No, I can do about
Yeah,
500.
it
It will
420.
not hurt me that much.
420.
Come on. I think everybody's underestimating.
No, I just think that can
You're
be
gonna
play the
damaging
next
to
day.
your
500
body.
balls.
That's
is
what
a
I was
lot.
trying to tell him. I'm like, don't fucking go swing balls when you're gonna be playing tomorrow.
Dude, I swing balls every
Oh,
day.
do what?
Do a bucket.
I probably
Do a
probably used to do too
I'm
much.
sorry, I laughed way too hard on that.
No, I'm talking about.
I used to hit 10 balls per club
I know.
and then work out. It's my worst part.
I know
And then
how
it
to
gets to it.
train. I know. Yeah, sorry. I went to golf
He
school.
knows how to hang brain.
I went to golf school. And we used to have to do
Ugh.
like 200 balls.
Did you?
How about your trainer didn't
Nah,
have
you
fun
wouldn't
with
have been
that?
allowed that at golf school.
I'm not even
Yeah.
that far behind.
What?
So
Overworking.
Oh
Overworking.
my god, I'm so terrible at this one.
Anyways, this is my life. I don't know why this is anybody else.
This my life.
No one ever.
Oh,
Alright.
Anyways,
Oh,
Fuck up
no.
a good song for me.
pardon me.
I'm getting.
Alright, y'all need to shoot if you're in front of me.
I'm
just
trying
messing,
as
I'm just
well.
messing.
Keep it up, Splits.
Oh, I skipped over the hole.
Seems like a you problem.
It really was because I couldn't tell how far away I was. I should have been parred.
Anyways, that phone's.
Oh,
Cup
dang
chew.
it, Tank. I feel your pain.
I chew, cup chew. No! Don't go down, don't go down. Okay. Unless you can go down the hill. Why is your ball brown?
That's what it is.
Our soldiers get muddy.
Alright, whoever's in second to last, you need 7 and you'll get 69 for the win.
Ooh, I don't know who's second to last though.
I don't know.
Yeah, alright.
What
Ooh,
the?
booty bone me.
Sorry.
Somebody booty bone me.
Stop. Okay.
No, don't do that, don't do that, don't do
No. I messed up.
that. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I didn't like
There we
that.
go.
I'm
I didn't
so
like
close.
that.
I'm gonna sit here and watch.
No, are you kidding?
There.
Are you kidding again?
I never know how much to get up this
Okay, I'm
hill.
gonna go in the hole now before Tank knocks me off.
I think it's less than three.
I would like to go in the hole as well, but
Life is a journey. Life is a journey.
Oh boy, it's getting deep in here.
Oh, whoa.
Dave.
That's what she said. I apologize for nothing.
Y'all are being naughty.
No, it's just Michigan. It's just Michigan. I don't know what you're
Yeah,
talking
it's all me.
You mean
It's all
Michigan's
me.
just being Michigan? Yeah.
about.
It's all me. It's all me. Yeah.
it's
Sorry.
Wait,
I was intrigued when Kimono said, "I've got Michigan margaritas."
Yes.
Got margaritas. I got
Yeah.
margaritas.
The wiener.
The wiener.
Margaritas.
Hank got
no,
16.
I'm actually not.
I've never ever had one of them. What is it in the margarita?
A wiener?
Tequila.
It's tequila and
Oh,
basically
tequila,
like
tequila.
sour or
Hey,
Whiskey
lemon
sour.
juice, lime juice.
What do you mean when you say sour?
Mm,
So the way I do it is I'll usually do, um, I'll rub the rim of the glass with the lime,
yeah.
tequila,
Or-
lemonade, or put sugar, put that, salt, whatever, on the rim, and then squeeze a lime into it too.
Yeah, I take it we're done for tonight.
Da-da-da. Yeah, we're gonna do a different game.
We're gonna do some AI awesomeness.
Yeah.
Quit this then.
We're gonna do some shenanigans. So
Well,
close
we
that.
technically were, but
Yeah.
Shenanigans.
I was gonna say we're already
was
doing
trying to
some shenanigans, yeah.
I was trying to explain to somebody the other day that, we're talking about and I'm like, yeah, sometimes at nights we sit there and half of us are half in the bag and we're trying to sit there, create a story, and then trying to explain to him what we do.
Then you got
And I
toads
just
that
couldn't
are
get
made
my
for
point
digging?
across. Like, he wasn't getting it. I'm like, let me just show you some pictures. And he's like, oh, okay. And this was the
Like,
prompt
okay,
for
now
this
I
picture.
understand.
The funniest thing is some of the prompts that we have saved, going back and actually reading some of the prompts, like,
What?
I'm just gonna use ideogram for the night. Be right back, and in case stream ends before my turn, I just want to let you know I got to hang out. Yay! Good luck. We're gonna do some shenanigans for a little bit, so I'll be on for a little while. I need to change my stream title.
I have a book tomorrow that
I don't know what I'm changing it to though. I don't think we have this category yet.
wouldn't it be like just chatting?
Probably, but I was just curious if there was an AI category, but there's not.
I have a book
AI
tomorrow that I have
art.
to put back into the library.
It's in the game.
Visual intelligence.
Hey, sports, it's in the game.
I guess it could be art. Let's do art
That's
and piss
No.
people off.
The art people are gonna be so mad at
I
us
know.
for this.
Art, artist, I'm allowed. They could be mad at me, but I don't care.
We all should get like a whatever. Like, I'm
A
curious about what we're gonna do. Like,
However, if you are about to end the stream,
Just
then
making
I'll scrap.
vicarious
I'm not ending. I'm not ending. We're setting up for another thing.
we're setting up for crazy.
Whoa, I like that. Are you an ideogram?
Horrible.
Ideogrammer now?
Yeah.
It's on their home page, on the second row.
Uh huh.
It's probably
There's a-
You
just-
probably
there's
see
a-
something different than I see.
Yeah.
About to.
I'm fine, by the way.
It's in-
If anyone saw my
Good.
reaction just now.
Better be. The
But we
desktop.
just had a really loud.
Oh,
thunder.
these really good. Yeah.
Bye.
Let's see.
Peace.
Desktop audio. Desktop display. Here we go. Okay. Move my butt down here.
Oh yeah, it's definitely
Silent
different.
communication.
You're okay, Papa.
Move my booty down here. All right.
There's a
So
60
we're
hour-
gonna
60-mile-an-hour wind.
get some participation here.
Hopefully you don't
Let's
see any big
see.
tree limbs
Sorry
or
about-
wires.
Hey. It's okay.
Oh, it's
baby.
just gonna be in the way.
Oh, are they scared of the thunder?
It's just gonna be in the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've got 60-mile-an-hour winds right now.
Gus. Yeah, probably. Gus.
Jeez.
No, it is not Gus.
No,
It
it's
is
Gus.
wind.
Sustained.
Time to head to the basement if you have one.
We don't.
I'm
we
gonna
live on
go
a third floor
surfing.
apartment.
I'm gonna
We're
go
fine.
surfing.
We're not.
Alright.
We need a warning right now.
How this works is everybody in the
Yes,
group
I'm ready.
contributes
Here it's 60 mile
a
an hour wind.
small concept or
Fine.
idea. It's
I'm
kind of
sorry,
like
is that
Sorry?
second image the giving tree?
And do you want us to put it in your Twitch chat?
no, I'll type
Well,
it. I'll just type it as we go.
Okay.
So who's gonna
So-
start first then?
I guess you are Michigan since you said it. What's our first concept? Let's show them. Let's show them how this works.
Golf. That is where.
Okay,
That's
golf.
the place. That's the place.
Okay, that's your word.
That's the activity? Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
Splints.
that's
What's
the
yours?
activity.
What's your thought? Random thoughts. creating images via random thoughts.
I don't even have those at the moment.
Well, if Splints is like, okay, we're at a golf
What do you
place.
mean? I don't play golf.
No, that's well, the place is.
Is that what I'm typing? I don't play golf.
I'm at a golf course, but I ain't playing golf.
No, I literally said me was first.
Me
We
was
are-
second.
Yeah, we are golfing.
We are the people.
Okay. Wiggle.
I'm at a golf course now playing golf.
All in suit.
It's gonna be like somebody.
What did you
taking,
say,
like,
Wiggles?
the most
Sorry.
excellent shot.
I have it
No, he's doing the
with my
sentence.
Ninja Turtle homies.
Yes. So you have to golf with Ninja Turtles.
Who's made for baby?
Okay. Shane,
Who's
add your
next?
tidbits.
Shane?
What's your idea? Add some words.
The most on it golf course. Golf with my Ninja Turtle homie. Well, considering the circumstances, say that we're playing golf in a thunderstorm.
Oh, that's awesome. That was good.
Gee, thanks, Shane.
So there might be some.
We're gonna add eating pizza. And then we're gonna go with tank and we need tank's words and Rain's words.
What am I doing?
Pink is first, right? Or sorry.
Either or.
Michelangelo gets electrocuted mid-swing.
You just grabbed the whole thing. But,
How do you spell Michelangelo?
Ninja Turtles.
Mm.
Michelangelo gets
Mikael.
electrocuted.
Yell.
Come here, Papa.
Mikael.
Yeah.
Monty, come here, baby. Come here. I know,
Like
come
that?
here, come
Oh.
here.
No.
No, you had it, Michael. Michael. There you go.
Michelangelo what?
Mikael.
Oh,
Gets
Michelangelo.
electrocuted by lightning.
Electrocuted by.
Oh, we already have
Lightning.
lightning. That's sorry.
Watch out.
Okay. And then lady's turn.
Yeah, lady, you're the last, I think, right?
I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
more
you're.
worried about what's going on outside.
Go
No,
ahead and
no.
type that in. I'm not worried about what's going on outside.
You got your slippers out to make sure the tornado. Up to you.
This ought to be interesting.
While worrying about what's going on outside. Okay, so a bunch of random stuff, and then we're gonna want to generate an image based on it. I copied it just in case some of those keywords are not allowed to create an image with, like using key names.
Yeah.
It may not allow us.
You
at
never
times.
identified like a current celebrity. Or
Yeah,
something.
usually we
should be
don't.
Okay. We should be okay.
Even with Ninja Turtles. Yeah. We'll see.
I mean, they could get the inventor.
What's gonna
which-
happen is gonna be Ninja Turtles on a golf course.
It's AIN.
Yes, they're eating pizza and they're not playing golf. Oh my
Get some lightning.
Yeah.
Wow.
I could love it.
They're
So
all almost the same.
cool.
But which one
There's
is
a
the
bunch of
best?
drunk
Yeah,
people
let's look at
on
them,
a
yeah.
golf course. Jeez.
I probably should change the size away from this.
I need to move my screen.
Make it more square, maybe? Nah, that's fine. 'cause it fills up the
I
whole
run
screen.
it in dark mode too. It looks.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Where's that at?
You know
Always
what?
fucking awesome.
The fourth one looks pretty good.
I
Settings.
got my player, man. I got my player.
He's got like a
Dark.
bear.
There we go.
Eating
That looks so
pizza.
much better.
Does this
That
Oh.
last one.
Dude, it looks like
Oh no.
Stop. There we go.
I think Rap's gonna kill somebody.
And how come
Come
there's
on.
5? Has anybody noticed that there's 5? There's 2 Raphaels.
There's 2 Donatellos.
dude, it's a different time.
There's 2 Raphaels and 2 Donatellos. I don't
No,
know.
it looks like
To be
Yeah,
honest,
I
the
don't
original
know.
Comic book, they all look the same because it was black and white. So fair enough.
Except for the
well,
head.
either or. It looks like
Welcome,
the
Six.
humans. It looks like the humans are too scared to. Go
Oh, my
golf,
head's
so
in the
they-
way.
That
I'd be
last
cu-
one, I like
be
it. but
curious
yeah,
if you
now
I'm
that
just gonna
pointed
be in
it
the
out,
way.
Yeah, you're good. I'd be if you change
Here.
Ninja, just my Ninja homies.
Oh, okay, ninja homies. Okay, let's do that. And see
That's
what
what
we
he
get.
did say. Yeah,
Look at that
Ninja.
on the first one. They got the knee pads and everything.
Do we want to screenshot this real quick? I'll screenshot it real quick.
We might as well. This is pretty
No,
good.
the
It's pretty good.
humans left because it was storming, and then the turtles came out.
There we go.
You use the snippet tool too. I love the snippet tool.
Yeah.
Snippet. You.
I wish there was a better tool on PC, but there's not.
Snippet.
Apple is superior with screen clippings, but
Also, yes, I'm in the dark. It's fine. I just turned my light off because I was tired of it flickering.
yeah, I use the snippet tool. I do wish I could snip via key commands like I can on Apple, but you can't. I haven't found a tool that works better than snippet.
Alt print.
Yeah, but then it does the whole screen, and then you have to paste it into something. You have to paste it into a program, so you gotta open up Photoshop or Paint or Word or something to paste it into. But if you hit, like, you know,
Teenage Mutant, Two Toes. What is going
Command
on?
Shift 4 on a Mac, you can, like, literally draw what you want. It saves it as a file to your desktop all in one step, and you don't have to do anything. That's so cool. Alright, we're taking out turtles.
I feel like I'm like halfway in that ecosystem. I have the phone, not the computer.
Mm-hmm.
But not playing golf.
I don't know why PCs haven't made that tool, because I constantly clip things, like, non-stop. It would be so much easier on a PC if they had a different way.
Don't worry, Windows 12 will flip everything you do ever.
How are those dudes ninjas?
And yeah,
Holy what?
you
They
can't
are
see
not
ninjas.
ninjas!
Well, because you can't see ninjas.
They're
It's just a
totally
bunch of
not
boys standing around eating pizza, but there's ninjas in the background.
But they're on a golf course, not playing.
Ninja
What?
homies. Ninja
Why?
homies.
Or
In full gear. Let's try, like, in full gear.
But look at the last,
Yeah.
the third picture, not the last
Dude,
picture, but
I
the
want
third.
some.
It's
I
like,
want.
oh, Ninja Turtles. I think it still remembers what we were asking before.
I think so, too.
So I'm
Well,
I think it's
wondering if we have to start a
regenerating.
new session.
I also
Yeah, I
that
think so.
Pizza thing also is
Dude, when I was playing
for
golf
Ninja
today,
Turtles naturally.
this would have been awesome. Some pizza, and
Probably.
some friends.
Some
Fair.
turtles.
Okay.
Well, turtles juice.
Well, Chansey appeared. I'll catch if you want to catch Chansey.
We'll make this the last of this, and then
The
we'll
last
create
of
something
this.
else. I wish I had some pizza while I was golfing. Just
Why does it always
Oh,
look
here
like
we go.
horror
It's
movie
still full of Ninja Turtles. Look at that. It
I
knew
like
because
how
there was
they-
turtles and pizza and ninja. Or no, we didn't use the
word.
word turtles, but it knew because there was
Yeah, but
ninjas and
there's two
pizza.
Donatellos, one Michelangelo with his hair on fire, and then
I
The
know.
first one because they had biker hats. on,
Turtles
like-
don't have
Fiery!
hair, silly.
I know, but
Fiery
that's what I'm
IMAX
saying.
thingy. It's his IMAX thingy that wraps us around his head. What do you call that
the
thing?
first one is like
His
they're like
bandana
motocross
thingamajiggy?
helmets or some shit.
Yeah.
The second one is more like Mortal Kombat, but
It's
not
like it doesn't
quite.
know what ninjas look like.
The last one is just like, yeah, we found this stuff at Goodwill. We're playing golf.
Dude, it looked like me playing golf.
They kind of got something going on their arms, but that's it. It's kind of like
Right?
the
I
Street
like to do
Fighter
in the middle.
stuff.
He's holding two pizzas and has a piece of pizza in his mouth
In his mouth.
through
He's a
his
protein
mouth
man.
coverage.
He likes his protein.
He's like,
He's hungry.
I
Holy.
like the first one because it looked like.
Seeing swords on the fourth.
Right, sorry, I like the first one because it looked like they went like skydiving and hey, we got some pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Ninja Turtles ninjas don't wear helmets.
Okay.
No, it's just funny. Like, oh, we
Yeah.
went skydiving during the storm. No, sorry. This is what I saw. But we should probably create a new one.
Yeah, we'll create a new one.
Who's gonna
Alright,
start
let's.
first? Because
I think it needs to be cat themed.
Okay. Okay. Well, you start first then, because that's technically.
Okay, give a
Cats.
detailed.
That's it.
Oh,
Just cats.
you can do.
I'm gonna be like a
I'm gonna
pig.
go last. I'm gonna go
Okay,
last.
I'll
because
go
I
next.
started
Cats.
It's gonna do like the musical or something.
first. It's gonna be literally cat.
Playing with giant yarn balls.
Well, those are facts.
But they're
Giant
giant.
balls of yeah. There you go.
Okay, I'm gonna go last because I went first last time. I just trying to.
Okay.
Alright, somebody go.
A location maybe or
Well, Sean or Sean. So.
Shade!
make it outrageous.
Cat play with balls of yarn. Let's see. Yes, it seems like it needs some kind of location. I'm not very creative at the moment. In the yarn factory.
Oh.
They broke in and they're playing with the products. I don't know.
I like it. Lady? Any suggestions about cats and yarns and cats, yarn balls, and a yarn factory? Is she froze? Oh, she's locked up. No,
No,
she's not.
During a
I don't
solar
think she
eclipse.
I don't think
Sorry,
she
was it
Cape
my turn?
Cod.
I'm all focused.
No,
We're saying cats playing with giant ball of yarn in a yarn factory. What do you got?
Yep, during a solar eclipse in Cape Cod.
No,
Nice.
you don't. You're skipping turns.
No, I just wasn't here, so nobody called on me.
No, it was lady's turn. But yeah.
I've never been called on.
Okay.
No,
Alright, tank, lady.
Lady first. She's at the top of the list.
yeah, I think lady's next.
Not
I'm
Cape Cod.
not in
Cape.
enough focus mode to do this.
Okay.
It's all you think.
So we'll skip you then.
Or
So
there's an
we'll
E
do-
after the P.
Yeah.
On
Oh, yeah.
6-7 letters back or so. It's Cape with an E.
Oh. Cape code.
Cap
No,
code.
no. Cape. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, cats play with giant balls in the
Dude,
yarn
Cape
factory
Code.
during
I
the
should
solar
have left it
in
at that
Cape
though.
Cod.
That would have been excellent.
On conveyor belts.
On conveyor
On
belts.
Has it,
conveyor
no,
belts. It's
So
a
who's-
slippery ground that we live on.
I don't even know how to spell conveyor belts.
With a Y, conveyor.
Nope.
No, that's conver. Convey.
Convert.
It's two words.
Fun.
After the
Okay.
V, it's EYER.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
Or
Yeah.
convey belts.
There we go.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Anybody in chat, stream chat want to add in? Anybody in stream chat?
When
Any
monkeys
listen?
attack.
Sounds like freaking.
What Michigan? What'd you say? When
Mulch.
When
Monkeys.
monkeys attack.
monkeys attack.
Here's a monkey. Oh.
Because it does match with.
Okay.
It's gonna turn into an episode of Power Rangers real quick.
I think I'm gonna refresh this real quick though. Make sure it doesn't like stay on the last thing. Oh my god, look at that swaddle though. That's so cool.
Look at that ice cream bear.
Right? It looks so detailed.
We're not goldfish and. I don't know, something.
And the
Hey,
chest
somebody's been
pieces
watching
are
Lion
bigger.
King.
I don't know.
In a burning factory? Oh no, the factory's on fire!
yeah.
In a burning factory. You got it. Alright, here goes, here goes.
When monkeys attack.
I fucking love this.
I'm wondering how that's gonna put in Cape Cod. What is significant? I guess the
It
solar
might
eclipse,
be
maybe,
just
but
Mystic Pizza.
it's too
Yeah,
pizza.
it's like
Hmm.
Yeah,
Oh,
I love
right.
the monkeys in the background of the first one.
What
All right,
is
you gotta make
going
these big. Oh yeah, open
on?
them one at a time.
Like the
These
last.
are all
I think the
pretty
amazing.
good. Yeah.
What?
Like the last one, the monkeys actually are attacking.
What is going on?
I don't know, but it looks
beautiful.
unworldly. I mean, it's a pretty cat. And then
That's a big ball of yarn, though.
these are like monkey cats.
These
Look,
are ropes
it's like a
of
monkey
yarn.
body and a
Like,
cat
even
head.
How cool is
Evolution.
Black
Evolution.
hole
Yeah.
sun, won't you come?
And Oh, that one's like got a
Wash away.
tongue now, maybe?
Solar eclipse at work.
Well, the monkeys are attacking, and this cat's like, hell yeah!
I love how you can actually see the shelves full of balls of yarn that are on fire. All the shelves of yarn.
I just made it up.
And these cats are just chill. They're like, place is on fire, who cares?
What's the last one?
Well, they are.
Except for this one. This
The
one, they're
last
kind of
one
like,
is
I'm gonna
fucking
play and
excellent.
cling to this ball of yarn for life. And this one has an extra paw.
I'm about to say this one has an extra paw. Yeah.
Look
yeah.
at it. It's got an actual black hole in the background. Damn.
So is this one. There's like 1, 2, 3. No, there's not. There's 4. Okay. It just looks
Right?
weird. It's
Well,
like
they're all-
purposely making sure it shows all 4 paws, even though they should be wrapped around ball yarn.
No, the cats are rolling out on this one. I was like, let's get out of here.
And can we talk about these
These are
monkeys and how
actually
many
six-legged
limbs they
cats.
have?
Come on now.
Yeah,
There's
right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 limbs on this monkey thing. I wonder if I can
Don't
zoom
judge
in.
him. Don't judge him.
Can I zoom in? No, it zooms out. I don't want to zoom out. I want to zoom in.
It's an
That one-
AI
those are good.
hallucination. Don't worry.
Why do the cats have 6 legs?
Because-
that's
why
what
not?
I'm saying.
Well, why not?
Because look at how
Because
cute
it
they are.
can.
That's more paws, dude.
Okay, I
I
really
should-
do like how the one black cat has the sun in his ears. Like that
Yeah,
is
that's
wild.
The third one.
That's
the third
wild.
one. Yeah, the third
It's
one
not
is.
an eclipse.
The third one is the best.
But the black hole sun? I don't know.
The third one is the best.
I think the first
Okay.
one was probably best, honestly.
Alright, before we leave this one, I want to check something real quick.
Not everybody has their opinion.
See if I can get into
Well, do you see an eclipse?
the journey beta. Let's see.
That first one is crazy because it's like, how big is that ball of yarn? It's like made of rope.
Some yarn gets that big.
Hey, yeah. Well,
I'll be right back.
That's,
I gotta make
that's
it.
not even a J9 hook. That's like a fucking 20. I don't even know what you would call it.
are we gonna do a next one? Let's go. We have to roll.
In a second. I'm looking for something real quick. I have access to Midjourney beta, which is actually in the browser now versus
Do it.
Discord, so I'm trying to figure out how to get to it real quick.
Yeah, do it.
Trying to remember.
The last one though, like another paw over here.
I'm in favor of the first one because they actually got the monkeys with the appropriate amount of limbs along with cats. And they got the eclipse in the
Yeah, but what is it doing? Are they like riding a boat down a string?
I think they're sneaking into the factory.
They're factory sneakers.
No, I like 3 because it isn't the rest of them.
It's a sneak attack by monkeys.
I like the last one just because it's actually a black hole.
And I just like how.
I mean,
the cat-
it seems like season 3 of Walking Dead. Oh, they're in the jail.
Aha,
It's
yeah,
all
that's
on
okay.
fire. Everything's going bad.
I do have Midjourney beta, so.
Sorry, it looks like the cats are running away in the.
Oh,
movie.
no.
So, screw it.
Alright, okay, it's about to get wild in here.
Getting wild.
Midjourney
There we
alpha,
go.
not beta.
In the style of
No, we're doing
Create.
a different.
Freedom Hollow. Want to see Braided Hollow. Oh my god, those were shoulders. I thought they were faces at first. What did we even paste in? What's going on?
No, this is our last one.
Cat,
But, yeah.
Catacorn shooting purple bolt. I think I missed yours, Rain. I
I
added to
literally
this one.
just added it.
Yo, that third one is so fire.
I can't believe it's doing 4. I didn't realize Alpha did that.
Okay, the first one is crazy, but
Look at it. Look how real it is. The fur.
Dude, that is literally Cat Factory.
Right?
there's 2 cats down below going,
Where
I
is
love
the
you.
conveyor?
I
Like
hope,
it's
I
black
hope
and
this
white.
doesn't end poorly.
Much better.
Are they in
Where's
the
the monkey?
in a factory? Yes, they're in a factory. And the factory's on fire in some scenes, like right here.
And the one in the middle right is like, no, stop.
Hey, would you mind posting the prompt in chat in here?
Yeah, totally. Let's see.
The bottom right is insane too.
Where's the monkeys?
Copy. And
Hey, where are the monkeys?
People say we're monkeying around.
paste. And then if you want, you can add Rain's bit. Hold on.
You can add your own monkey.
AI is starting to take over, guys.
Copy.
Oh, is it?
Mhm.
Should
I
I
have
be scared
noticed.
now? Like, it's
I
gonna
have
take
You
noticed.
better be
Sure.
scared. You better.
It's gonna
I
take
think
me
this one's
sure.
really cool though.
Yeah.
I really like that one.
This one is so great, except, I mean, that one cat in the middle of the screen is just like so over the top.
This one right here. Or whatever that, I guess that's the
Exploding
monkey.
kitty.
This
No,
one's
no,
fine.
up
At least I
above,
get
The
it
yarn
up above
ball
that,
with the
up
cat
above that.
leg.
Yeah.
Oh,
What's with the yarn ball with the cat leg?
yeah, that's like
Oh,
leg
that-
hanging out.
that's a
Don't judge.
yin
Come on,
or a
don't.
yang. Whatever.
You're judging.
Voids. Voids.
That's in the foreground. They're all just like looking at us like, yeah, you like
Voids.
that?
This is when cats actually like own the world. When they have
It
all
seems
the
like
arms.
Moby Dick.
This is when I'm gonna find out I'm not allowed to stream alpha or something.
Like, this is really dirty.
Oops. If you don't mind, would you
What
type
the fuck?
this
Oh,
prompt?
sorry.
Muscular lion rescue humans from burning
This
factory.
kind
That
of
would be
looks
cool.
like
The cat doesn't have a head.
no.
Love it.
I was gonna say what's his name there that cut his ear off?
Oh,
it
Van
looks
Gogh.
like his
Van Gogh?
painting.
There you go.
Yeah, Van Gogh.
Similar, but
it
not
looks
quite.
it looks kind of Van Gogh-ish.
I think we should do another one. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, I got one
Alright, fine.
suggestion
Give us your
from
prompt.
chat real quick. Let me grab that one, but I'm gonna screenshot this too.
Look at all the
real quick,
kitties
just to-
in my box.
I'm trying to find my new Facebook page.
Yeah, okay.
Uh-huh.
You
Look
put
in
in a
chat.
suggestion
Look in Discord chat.
or
That's nice. Are they forgetting?
well, let me copy this.
Is
Copy.
the cat eating the yarn or spewing it out of its throat?
What chat am I supposed to be looking at?
In Discord.
Discord.
In
I don't
our,
know. That's a
Oh,
good question.
Discord. Yeah.
And maybe eating it.
Get that out.
Oh,
It's pasting the image in there. I don't want the image.
well, yeah, do it up. And I'm gonna go get
And then
up here and back. I'm gonna go get all right.
so I also typed in what you typed in.
Uh-huh.
And I'm curious. So I'm wondering why for you it's showing it in like a mobile version. It's showing it like in the long image.
oh, because I changed the size. I can change the size.
I did it like in a square
don't
image.
change the size.
Yeah, you can change it like right in the settings.
Yeah.
Where's it at? I don't remember. Probably can't do what it's generating.
Dude, the black and white images always freak me
No.
out.
Look at the second one.
There you go. Muscular lion superheroes? Oops.
Dude's got some lats.
Escaping
Jesus.
from a burning factory. That last one is like.
Actually,
hate-
the second to last one's not bad.
No, yeah, the second to last one's not bad, but the last one is like very.
Yeah, no, they look like they're being
Oh, let's
attacked
see.
by the whole pride.
You're gonna.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
That's a big lion.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
one's on fire.
That's cool. The firefighters, and then like this image and fire of a cat. Oh my lioness. And then
Dude, what
So
is
cool.
going on? What?
ideogram. Now that we changed them to superheroes. I still don't know.
The third image. I
You're
can hear
eating
it.
these people.
Thundercats.
For real,
Hello!
Wow.
Let's see. Oh no, I didn't mean to hit generate. Oh, don't generate.
No, the third image. The third image. Is...
Oh no, I
oh
messed
my
it up.
God. No.
This is where you change the size to square or whatever.
Yeah.
Right here when you're typing.
Yeah.
Aspect ratio.
Bagels, you saw that though, right?
Yeah.
Thundercats. Oh.
I messed it
Lionel.
up.
Dude, that oh man, that crystal ball one, the third one in to the right that you have there.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty badass. Yeah, that is cool. Wonder what the prompt is
Yogurt
for that.
for a
You can click on it,
thyroid
it tells you
relief.
what the prompt is.
Yeah. There you go. It'll tell you.
Like more of a tree.
Visual stunning 3D render of an abstract painting.
Oh my God, are people using AI to like advertise?
All right, so you
their-
should copy that. Oh, not copy that. Oh wow, that's a lot. That's a big prompt. Holy cow.
Yeah. Yeah. They're very specific
That's
with
a
their prompts.
story.
Getting dizzy here. Just
You should
reading it.
write a narrative.
Yo.
I
Alright, let's do
I
a new
totally
one.
understand how it works, and it's so fun.
Yeah, I figured that. Yeah, let's do a new one.
Okay.
Yours turned out pretty though, Wiggles. I should show those real quick.
Hold on.
So that's
second
just-
row, third
That's just
picture.
Bing. That's just Bing. I use ideogram and Bing, but that's just a Bing generator. Image creator.
Mhm.
Bing image creator, I think is what
There
it's called.
are monkeys, so that's great.
Yeah, they worked the treadmills or something.
Yeah, yeah. Those are slime.
No,
They sabotage me.
They starting to look like rats versus cats.
Won't you
No, it looks like they're bowing down
face.
to the sun. They're bowing down to the sun.
They all got sunglasses on.
Oh, look at his
Bowing
eyes.
down, like,
The monkey's got like
Oh my God,
planets in its
what?
eyes.
Those are not monkeys.
Look at the
Those are
tail.
marmots.
It's a marmot.
Oh, and this guy thinks he's a cool
well,
cat.
The one on the bottom next to your emote thing.
dude, that is a cool cat. Come on.
Dude, it looks like for some reason as soon as I saw that, I'm like, that looks like a Joe Pesci as a cat.
Hey, am I funny to you?
Also, the monkeys are not attacking. Why is this?
Look at
I don't know.
his nose.
It looks like the cats are like the bosses.
How cool.
and The
Alright,
monkeys have to do all
to
the work.
close this. Okay,
Dirty
next prompt.
You did it.
Okay. Can I
who's
start it
going
out?
first? Yeah.
Yeah.
You do it?
Okay. I'm going to say
Are you?
Ooh, I just had a brain fart. Let's go. Walking through a metropolis.
Dude, okay. So you saw how big the prompts were for the little sentence.
hold on. We'll
Okay.
go with this.
Mhm.
Walking through the metropolis.
Shouldn't we start that with who's walking through Metropolis?
No, because you
Yeah,
can do
you can
walking
do it out
through
of order.
Metropolis, comma.
Hold on,
A.
with wet hold on, with wet toes.
With
What's got wet toes? What's got wet toes on?
Are they for
We'll
digging?
find out in a minute.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll find out.
Here, Splits, what has wet toes? Splits is dying because we mentioned feet again. Splits, are you okay?
Because somebody else
No,
has
fine.
to describe what I said. Yeah.
Alright, Splits. Give us the
What
terms.
do we got? Walking through a metropolis with wet toes.
Yes, that makes
We already
sense.
have commas. Okay. Under the lighting of fluorescent.
Oh Jesus.
Oh
Now you're
jeez.
getting too descriptive.
No,
No,
but
absolutely not. No, make it as detailed as you can.
under the fluorescent lights of an old hotel.
Mm.
I just
Okay.
like how mine.
Now we
was
got to
so
do
Mhm.
some nouns.
Fuck nouns. Sorry.
You can hear the buzzing lights. Zzz.
Walking through Metropolis with wet toes under fluorescent lights of.
Well, mine was perfect though, because it's so.
Can hear the buzzing.
Alright, Shane, Tank.
Who's first?
What or whom?
Or how?
I was gonna say, we need to put something at the beginning of this.
We don't have
do
to,
not-
we
it
can
doesn't
just
have to
let
be
the
in the
bot.
beginning.
It doesn't do it in order. It doesn't matter. Order doesn't matter.
Also, but let him say what he wants to say and where it
Looks good
belongs.
anyways.
Yeah.
Dude, what do you want?
This looks. I'm getting like a film noir kind of thing from this. So maybe like a detective in a trench coat.
Ooh, why
Oh.
not Detective Pikachu?
No, certainly not
It's
that.
gotta be
Are you
Pikachu.
gonna try to flash us? Come on.
Okay, now an
A tall,
adjective
dark
or an
man
or a verb in
enters
action.
the scene, covered in a.
Alright, Tank.
Rain, rain or tank.
Yeah, it's up to you guys.
Pikachu at the front of the Soul Suns.
We should probably avoid actual.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
Yeah,
fair,
you
but-
can't do
Uh,
Pikachu. Yeah,
Mm,
No, you
Like
could,
Pokemon.
but
technically.
lady in a tall black dress.
all black dress. Okay. I personally prefer to wear short black dresses.
Should we maybe put that at the front though?
it doesn't matter where it goes.
Actually, you know what would be funny?
I'm just
Actually,
saying.
let's put that at the front.
No,
Proper
it doesn't
English
matter
is
where it goes.
No, 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 no,
It
no,
doesn't
no, no.
matter.
A tall lady in a tall, a lady in a tall black dress.
It
Did
doesn't
you?
matter.
You already went. You already went, Splits, or was that Tank's message?
That's
That
what
was-
I'm trying to move his to the
What
front. So a
No,
tall lady
No, it
in, a,
doesn't matter.
in a black dress walking through the metropolis or whatever. It actually kind of works. It kind of works.
No, it doesn't matter, right? You guys.
Yeah.
But it sounds good.
Walking through
Let's
Metropolis
see.
with wet toes under.
Dude, English is my worst subject.
And you want this? Wiggles.
Are those toes? Are they
That is
good
the
for
front.
digging?
Proper English.
I wonder who's gonna end up with the wet toes. Gosh, we're gonna find out.
Lady
I
has
still
no
can't believe I posted that to Facebook with no context. I just posted it.
That's fantastic.
My
Let's see-
family
let's
must
see
think
our
I'm
journey.
fucking crazy.
Let's see our journey.
See what we get, guys.
Taking an awfully long time to load.
It literally
Well,
says,
it's processing.
"Oh, this toe is made for digging."
Oh. Why does that look like an asylum?
Yeah, wet toes. They all have wet
Always.
toes. They
And
all
she's
wet toes.
very tall.
First one's
and-
barefooted.
and a skinny black
They're both
dress.
barefooted.
Wow.
Toes.
This
This is awesome. This is Matrix or
They all have toes made for digging.
Looks like the hallway from a hospital.
see, I think. Actually, I can't
They
believe.
have wet toes. That's awesome.
This one's kind of cool though.
I just like
They're
how it's
pretty
all.
good. They're pretty
I
good.
do
It
like
looks
that
like
one.
some sort of
I
movie
don't know how
poster
tall
or
she is
something.
though. Oh my gosh, she's like a
She's like
alien
8 foot
height.
tall. She's 8 foot tall.
I'd say
Mhm.
take a foot off her and she'd be normal.
Well, we did say she was tall, or had a tall black dress.
Yeah, but can you imagine her trying to get into that car behind her?
No, absolutely. Whoa.
That one.
Dude, is this
Whoa.
That is
cyberpunk? Is this
awesome.
cyberpunk?
That's when I imagined reading that prompt. That's what I imagined.
Yeah.
It's cyberpunk. Yeah.
That's why I added the rainy weather because you were talking about the hotel lights.
Yeah.
So then I wanted all the
With
reflections
the neon
too.
signs burning in the background and rain.
To be fair, he
Mhm.
must have wet feet because there's no way that little foot thing would work.
Mm.
Oh,
That's pretty cool.
Now she's a detective. Mm-hmm.
That's a
That
picture
is-
I'd hang on the wall. That's pretty badass.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
She was
a very,
tall in a long, dark dress.
It's very like dark.
that one I
It's
like.
very
So cool.
dark.
That one's
I like the circular lights going on here.
Yeah, they got
Looks like a movie theater or something. All the
It's
taxi
very dark.
cabs.
casino.
You know what's funny is when you look at the actual letters of the neon lights, they make no sense. None.
They're mostly like Japanese and stuff. right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Probably Japanese.
Or
Korean.
Assassin's Creed on the right hand side.
None of
Look
us
at
said Tokyo, but they're totally like
No. Look at the right
that
hand
one right
side.
here. Yeah, that one.
No. The
No,
right hand
right.
side. OAA. That's
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed.
It does look like that.
H-O-A-A.
What's going on?
So it's probably Korean, Chinese, Japanese, all together. So.
Holy fuck! You know what's really messed up is that as much Japanese as I know,
I think this
I
one's
would not be
my
able to
favorite, though.
recognize if those were bad kanji.
You're a bad country.
I'm a bad.
Yeah, I think that one's my favorite though.
Yeah, I like
That's
that a
pretty
lot.
good. That's really good.
Got the Empire State Building in the background there.
Well, like in the future,
It's a good fantasy.
it is like what's it called? Manhattan.
Let's see.
Are you a
Not really
Manhattan?
What city it was?
What was that song?
Okay, so we did ideogram. Okay.
In a long.
And then here's another cool prompt. I
jacket.
made
Sorry, it
that you
looks like
guys
we
should try a
made-
hippo in a suit smoking a cigar in a shopping mall.
Rodden.
Okay, we can
made
start with that.
Matrix.
Let's do it as a group. Let's see. Okay,
Oh my goodness! I can't believe I let my.
Here's the
entire
beginning
friggin'
of the next
Discord-
prompt. Hippo in a suit smoking a cigar in a shopping mall.
Hippo in a suit smoking
In a
cigar.
at a Spencer's.
Wait. While eating Cinnabon.
Do you smoke and eat at the same time?
Hey, yeah, sure you could. You got two hands.
But only one mouth.
Sure.
Fun. I don't even know how to spell
Have you
cinnamon.
ever smoked?
There you go. I think you'll get
I
it.
know how hard it is to hold a spoon in my mouth while I eat.
That's fine. Okay, and then. Alright, and then. What were you saying, Tank? Something about a spoon?
No, I'm
Hey,
just
my
wondering how
spoon
you
is
can
too
smoke and eat
big.
at the same time without coughing.
But that's the
Or
beauty of
gagging.
letting AI figure it out.
Yeah, we're challenging it. Michigan?
While a tabby cat lounges on its head.
So you got a cat sitting on its own head?
On the hippo's head.
On the
Okay.
hippo's head. Okay.
Michigan?
Hold on, sir.
Shane?
Honestly, I have no idea what to even add to that.
I'm sorry,
Furniture?
but is second row, second picture Don Cheadle?
Mm-mm.
Dog beside them begging for
No.
food. Nice.
All right. Anybody else, or is that?
What?
Hold on, I didn't get one. Hold on. Sorry, I'm trying to read it.
Tabby cat on his head, dog beside them, begging for food. What?
Ain't nothing but
Yeah,
Tex is back. Tex, give us some words for this prompt.
What words?
We need to
Shiva
shoot words.
just went out, smoked it in the dark.
Sitting with two other hippos in a suit, reading the Death Note manga. Nice.
Yes.
That sounds like something Shane would say.
Death Note. Oh no.
So we want to describe the dog.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely a pony.
It's a dog.
well, I'll let you guys. I'm not
Okay.
gonna say it in this
It
one.
could be Shaggy.
That
It could
first
be
one
Scruffy.
is insane.
We'll do it. How do you want the dog to look?
But that first one looks like an actual movie poster. Wait, this isn't even. Oh my!
No, it's not that.
We haven't even
Hey.
done it yet.
How do you want the dog to look?
Scruffy.
Want it to look rough?
He goes woof woof.
Scruffy.
Alright. So
You guys do it without me, because I can't do this.
That
You
first
can't
one
figure
looks
this
like
out.
a movie poster. What the fuck?
I think you just
Okay.
roll with it.
Yeah,
Okay.
just do it.
Yeah, you might as well at this point.
go.
Yeah.
How? How? Oh, the new one.
That's really cool.
Yes.
Oh.
Death Note, look
it's
at that.
Afros in a
Look
suit
Look at that.
with a cat on its
There's
head.
the
Every single
Spencer.
fucking one of them.
Yes, I
It's
knew
always
it.
cat.
And,
And
there's
the dog is
Spencer's in the
shady.
background. Yeah.
The dog's got two mouths.
I'm sorry, which dog has two
What?
mouths?
The one that she's got. Yeah, right there.
Right there, it's got
Yeah, I have to
two
go
mouths.
slow because the stream's a little behind. He's got 2 rows of teeth on the bottom.
That's a big nose.
What is this?
Oh, this one has
Dude,
the
and then
Cinnabon.
there's the like the Ringo boy like reading.
They both got Cinnabons.
Nice.
I love how they're all wearing matching suits.
He has
It's
the
the
blue
Hippo
suits
Mafia. Run.
with the brown shoes, but different brown shoes, not the same brown shoes.
They had to find what would fit. You know? Not everything
But
fits.
they all have cats on their head.
I mean, that's what we asked.
Did we?
Why do they
Did
have
we even
foaming-
ask that?
foaming at the mouth lips or something?
They gotta hold the cigar somehow. Without getting
They're
burned.
foaming at the mouth, yeah.
What the fuck is Scoop Piffy?
I don't know.
What do you mean? The,
Scoop Piffy.
I don't think that's I think that's a PD.
but again, in the background, it still says Spencer.
And that's what they're both reading Death Note. Oh, look at their heads.
Oh my
What is
goodness.
that?
They have cats.
What is that on his head? There's 2 dogs.
This is pretty freaking funny.
One of the dogs is in a suit.
They
And
have
it's begging.
cats.
That's how I dress my animals.
The
Also,
one
is
dog's
that
like-
jelly donut?
I'm a mutt.
I don't
I
know.
would like to eat that steak.
There's some kind of branding on the
figure out-
donut, though.
I was gonna say, why didn't you take the wrapper off before he's eating it?
No, that's a
Yeah.
very fancy donut. It's
Like
just
icing
very
with-
lazy.
Branded.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
maybe.
the icing has got a design in it. I got
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
I got
yeah,
you. I
yeah,
got
yeah.
you. Picking up what you put down.
Okay, we're saving this one.
What the fuck?
I'll post all these in Discord later.
What the
I
fuck?
definitely think the second from
Why?
last is good.
Why did Michigan just drop out?
He's probably tired.
You drunk?
He just said he wants to play FIFA, so
Oh,
I think that's
we.
Look at these little hippos by
See?
his side. They're like,
Alright.
dude, and it's in every single. Well, all the first three, they're like tiny little hippos. Like, let's go.
Mm-hmm. Alright, that's
Hippo
3 more.
Mafia. He's got minions.
Anyway, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go and join him.
Nice.
Oh
So,
my
Bye,
god,
everybody.
that's amazing.
Thank you.
See you, man.
Thank you for the
That's
video.
amazing. Look at that.
That's
It's
so
like
cool.
the fucking poker dogs or whatever. Wait, there's a little
Mhm.
dog in the corner, like looking suspicious.
Yo, he's like,
Mm,
who you looking at?
He's sitting there with
Yay!
a phone book open and his drink on it. Oh my god! Why is he smoking a cigarette
Out of his nostril?
nostril?
Well, that solves the only issue of having a necessity of 2 mouths.
I guess.
Well, you were asking. Now you
I
know.
guess the job done. Rando, what do you think? What do you think, Rando?
I'd be more concerned if it was crack.
I mean,
Oh, this one the kitty's not on his head.
oh my god, these guys.
Is he dipping his
Dude,
cigar?
that's
in
like a
his
bulldog cat.
It is drink or cupcake or something.
Yeah.
Cappuccino.
It looks like a bulldog. In his left hand, he's got a fucking double cheeseburger. But a bulldog cat.
Sitting with
What
2
is up
other
with that?
hippopotamus.
What the heck?
That's pretty fantastic.
The short-nosed tabby.
Oh, there's the dog. But now there's no cat.
Where's the cat?
Oh my
Okay,
god, this looks
Is it just
really,
me or
This looks so intimate.
don't like the don't the
They look like
hippos'
lovers.
faces almost look like
I think one of them's
it
about
could
to
be like
bite the other's
bulldog?
nose.
It's like a bulldog. And,
Looks like a bulldog humanoid face. It's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
The dispensers ones were pretty cool, yeah.
They look like
He-
they're in love. It's
Heap up?
weird.
Heap up anonymous? Heap?
Hip hop.
Hip hop?
Anonymous.
Heap up
Hip
anonymous?
hop. Hip hoopa hoopa.
Oh, that's so cool.
The dog's like, I'm ashamed of you both.
But in a mall arcade?
Look at that though. He's got
Yeah,
like this
right.
like big thick plate with a fancy ass burger on it. I don't know.
Let's do an audio.
Could be okay. Could be
I'm missing the cat.
I
What to
fucking
do
love
with the
those.
cat?
okay. With the
Something
donut.
about hippos in blue suits, man. That's just hilarious. I fucking love it.
No. Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do something like outrageous, and let's
Okay.
not repeat.
I'm
You
sorry.
can't
Have we
repeat.
not been outrageous?
I wanted to do it like over the top, like I don't know.
Should we start with Alien Greys?
Okay, there once was a Candyman who went to space, and he lived there so long that he lost his face.
Whoa, you're a
Ooh,
poet. You didn't
Wonder
know it.
Man.
What do you want from me?
I love this. Hosting this, Mono, like it's fucking awesome.
Slender Man in a candy cane suit.
Keep going.
Okay, so
It's one of those that makes me actually, honestly, like
Alright,
throughout
I
the
gotta
week, I'm
start
gonna sit. Throughout the week, I'm gonna sit there and think of like prompts, and I'm gonna like write them down.
You come back and you're like,
there's the arcade version, Rando.
Oh, that's so cool. With Cinnabon.
Mm-hmm.
What?
They actually typed the
No,
word
I
Cinnabon
mentioned
this time.
Cinnabon earlier.
Second one's not bad.
Holy shit! The one with the cat on fire.
Yeah, why are 3 of the cat pictures? The cats are smoking.
It's just coming out.
They're
I think it's
badass
from
cats.
the
They smoke a
cigar,
cigar.
but it's like, I guess the cat, yeah, the cat is apparently a cigar or something. I don't know.
How do
The
they have
cat
one
is
behind
the
their ear?
cigar.
You
El
know,
Gato
it would
on
be-
fire.
It would be even funny if you actually added it in a prompt. Smoking a cat cigar.
A
Oh my
cat
god.
cigar.
Smoking a cat cigar.
Rolled cat cigar.
Dude, these look like movie posters for some
I'm
fucking
gonna
movie I
my
don't
ass
even
off
want
is
to
this
see.
cigar that looks like a
Yeah,
cat.
for real. It's like
There's a
Spirits of the Wind
cat-shaped
kinda creepy.
cat-shaped cigar,
Like, how-
yeah.
How's he gonna hold it and like what parts he hit it? The
He's
tail?
smoking like a tail of cat. Oh no! The black and white images always mess me up. Oh my god! Why is it always on the head?
I don't
Why
know.
are there
It didn't
teeth
really
in the mouth?
convert them. It didn't really convert.
like,
It just made them
I'm a
all
good boy,
foaming in
right?
the mouth. I mean, do these look like cats? I can't tell. They're just multicolored.
What's up, Zach?
Hello?
They're like cat colored, maybe.
Zach, you need to watch what we're looking
Hi, Jeff. Welcome.
Hip-hop Anonymous.
It's
Jeff.
Welcome, Jeff.
69
God.
bucks.
Welcome, Jeff.
Nice.
How are you doing? It's so good to see
Nice.
you.
I finally did one of a dog begging.
at. Oh my god! What is
Oh,
he
that's
eating?
fucking
Is that
hilarious.
like a
Oh, yeah.
fucking 10-pound
Yeah, his
prawn?
blood's up. I don't know. They're supposed to be cinnamon buds, but I don't know. Thank you so much for that sub, Jeff. Welcome to the stream. I hope you're doing good.
That's what you get when you smoke a cigar and eat at the same time.
Oh my god! Are you still live?
Yes.
Yes, you are. Oh.
Yeah, of course.
no.
That's how we're watching her.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
know,
so
and I've been
watching her.
saying a lot of stuff.
You're fine. You're fine.
Look at the
Hey,
dog.
Lizzie.
He's saying, hey.
Let's see.
The one
Poketcha.
from the left?
Poketcha.
He's like, no.
Alright, we're gonna do a brand new one. It's probably the last one. So we gotta make it good.
Okay.
Cthulhu.
It's like
It's over 9,000.
It's over 9,000. Watch out for that.
Start with Cthulhu.
Cthulhu, and what else?
Don't just say one
What's
word.
Cthulhu?
Give us a
Text.
sentence.
Texan Cthulhu. Give him a
Zach,
cowboy hat.
Give us
There
a
we go.
sentence.
Someone else's turn.
Go fuck yourself, Splints.
Cthulhu.
I know.
No, we can't write that.
What kind of
That's not right.
Cthulhu?
From
Uh,
the depths
Well, welcome,
of
Zach.
the immense
Welcome
ocean
to the G.
came the lord known as Cthulhu. I don't know. I haven't read any of it. I don't fucking know. I do need to read some of it. I just haven't yet. From the depths of the
Big
ocean
mind.
came the Lord Cthulhu. Yeah, you're reading it correctly. That's pretty
Okay.
good. That's pretty good.
Okay.
Alright.
On my bookshelf, I have like a big anthology of H.P. Lovecraft. I just haven't read any of
If
it.
you have H.P. Lovecraft, correct me
Even
when
the
I'm
Cthulhu
wrong.
are bigger in Texas? Is that what you want to add,
Read
Jeff?
it yet, though. I've had this thing for quite a while. I just haven't
Yeah,
read it
Jeff,
yet.
is that
So
what you
I
want to
just
add?
said-
Tell me what you want to add, guys, in chat. In stream chat, you guys can add too. Dang right, Jeff.
Depths of the ocean came the Lord Cthulhu, human.
Splints, can you
Asking
spell that
for
for
a
us, please?
vacation
Yeah, it went.
at the travel agency. By
We're writing
beach.
a prompt for an image, so any of your words become part of the image. This is something we play often in Discord, but we're doing it live tonight.
I don't often do it
It's
live.
for the
That's why
lulz.
I didn't know it was live.
No, this is the first time. We're doing it on purpose live this time.
Yeah,
Boarding a
yeah.
flight
I
on an
didn't
airline.
realize that.
You're good. Boarding a flight on an airplane. Boarding a flight on an airplane in the ocean?
On a jet plane.
I mean, he is an Eldritch.
Airline.
Cthulhu,
Okay.
even the Cthulhu are bigger in Texas.
Image
Boarding a flight on an
97.
airline.
Image?
Dude,
What about Image?
what's gonna happen?
I haven't seen Image in forever.
With a travel agent for this.
No.
What else? What else? Okay, who hasn't gone? What am I missing?
And nunchucks is 2 words.
Oh, I missed the whole
Nunchucks is a
sentence.
hyphenated
Oh,
word.
I just said
I don't think nunchucks are legal in some places.
It
using
doesn't matter.
sausage
It's still
nunchucks.
a hyphenated.
Sausage nunchucks.
Nunchucks is hyphenated. None.
You're hyphenated.
You're a hyphenator.
Also, haven't we tried to get nunchucks in here before?
No.
Jesus. Zach, do you have anything to contribute?
I already did. I contributed the fucking Texas part. What do you mean?
Yeah, he did.
The Texas.
The depths
Yeah.
of the ocean came below to bigger in Texas. Boarding a flight of an airline using sausage nunchucks.
What
Oh,
the
this is gonna be
hell?
fabulous.
Mm.
Laugh
Ew.
a lot. Yeah, I
Jeez.
would agree. Laugh a lot.
How many times have we typed Hawk Tua? Because that
None.
seems to be
We
the.
haven't done that yet tonight.
You're the first one to
because-
bring that up.
Didn't even- Oh, okay. I
I'm gonna
understand.
stay
it, John.
around for that.
Hey, it's 10 p.m. I guarantee you I'm not the first one to bring it up today.
Well,
Maybe
No,
even
you
here.
actually
it's the
were.
first time
You
I've heard
I
it
was
actually
today.
the
were.
one yesterday.
Alright, I think we should go with this.
Dude,
See
I
what we
saw
get.
somebody who had it tattooed on their
definitely.
fingers, though. Couture? I mean, wow,
Come on, big
that's
ass
dedication.
HP Lovecraft.
This should be interesting.
Tomahawk.
Somebody already has it tattooed on their knuckles.
Yeah,
That's
Couture.
ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Dude, it was a
That whole
lady.
fucking
No,
thing was-
no.
Oh,
Just
I
like
love it.
watching
My
these
God.
ghost
No,
image.
no.
Whoa!
Oh,
Oh
God.
my god. Let's suck it.
Whoa! Take this!
Sit on the plane.
What the fuck?
Oh,
Player
God.
guns
He's
or
gonna
whatever.
fit on the plane. Oh, and this one has bat wings. I've never even imagined Cthulhu could
Yeah.
be scarier, but
What
this
kind
had
of
bat
fucked
wings.
up
Why do
ass
they look so
nunchucks are those?
similar?
Oh,
That's
jeez,
pretty
that's
bad.
crazy.
People are said to be
You
driven
like
by
the second
By
one?
Texas,
Yes, Job.
Texas
That's
at the
pretty
bottom.
cool. Alright, let's sneak over to Mid Journey and see what it did. Oh, jeez. Okay. very
Copy
cool.
that prompt. Paste in chat. If you don't
Okay.
mind.
Legit, it just says
Cargo bay.
Texas across the bottom.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, I didn't even see the ones you did and hear of the other one. Those are so cool.
This one's like, I'm Cthulhu, I'm escaping, don't look
Okay,
at
and
me.
then. Oh my god, he's like a
Well,
beast.
that's-
The cowboy hat really
I mean,
makes it.
that's Cthulhu, isn't it?
Mhm.
Right? Like, I don't know.
it's gonna
He's
be
not boarding that plane. He's gonna eat that plane.
He is that plane.
He's bigger than the plane. I guess that's the Texas part coming in. Whoa!
Ooh, that one doesn't look too bad.
Oh, my.
Dude, you know what's
Just-
wild is he's like carrying around hot dogs.
The sausage nunchucks.
I gotta wonder how he wields those things without getting them stuck in
He's
his
like,
beard.
hot
Look
dogs."
how tall he is, though. He's so tall. He's in the clouds. Oh my gosh.
What the actual fuck?
This is what you
Oh
get
my
raisins.
gosh. Okay, that might be my favorite of the night. I don't know yet. We're gonna see that. That might be my favorite. And then this one's like, hi.
Look at his hot dog fingers.
This guy doesn't look like he's trying to run out of fear. He's like, save me, Cthulhu.
And Cthulhu's like, huh?
Airplane
I
window
posted
is
the
way
big
too
ones
big.
in chat.
See what the big ones look like too. Let's see. Oh my god, they get more sausagey.
That's what
I love
she
bat
said?
wings though. I don't know where this came from.
That one
That's
looks
a wild way to put that.
Oh my, hot dogs.
I was under the
Oh,
impression
God. Look at
Cthulhu
that.
could fly.
Look at the hot dog.
Me neither, but he can now because he's bigger bigger in Texas, so he can fly. We never said he could fly. We just said he was going to go
Airline?
fly on an
I'm
airline.
pretty sure
Sausage
actual
and
Cthulhu
jet
can, though.
engines.
What the fuck?
I think it has something to do with the airlines. That's why he can fly.
What the
From
fuck
the
is Uncan's
deathiest
Uncan's
The
Airlines?
ocean. Come came the Lord Cthulhu using sausage nunchucks. Sausage bliss? What?
The one
What
dude
does it
standing
say?
on top of the
X?
airplane being like, I got
Yeah,
sausage.
Cthulhu actually has wings.
Ex-Hellenic sausage.
Hellenic
bliss?
sausage bliss.
He's got them fucking Wranglers on
Hey.
though.
I've got all my
Why
info
don't
up
they
here.
explain
Tell me
the-
what story it actually?
No.
Why is there a random sword and he only has one wing?
I don't
Fucking
know.
cares?
He lost another one in battle. I don't know. Cthulhu's day out, Jeff says. Yeah.
He's got a single wing. He's like, yo, I've been.
Oh, that one looks
No.
intimidating,
Like-
though.
I'm sitting on the ocean and I got a big sausage and I fucking hate it.
Playing
these
so
are-
low.
Oh,
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
he only needs a single nunchuck now.
What does it say in the background? You.
I don't know.
Airline.
Keep
It's YouTube airline.
Airline.
And it just like is like hovering above the water right there. So he can get aboard. And he's walking on water. Do we want to talk about that? You
Right.
said Lord Cthulhu and he's walking on water, so I mean,
Is that like one of the ones that we get in the mall when it's like, I don't know, Christmas
That's where
season?
you
They're
from,
like, oh yeah,
Atlanta?
buy a big sausage.
Oh, that's pretty good.
What the fuck?
Okay.
No, look at it.
Cover your
I
eyes.
love that. I love that. And then I love that.
Oh my god, I love that one. That one the most. That is like my favorite.
You like that one the
Friday.
most?
Oh my god.
And that one's just funny because of all the words. He's coming out of the suitcase. I think this one here is like my favorite though.
Oh,
I
that's
don't know
one of my
why.
favorites.
It's my favorite.
That is
Well,
awesome.
that's
I was
really
trying to
good,
have
but
Cthulhu on the airplane. I know.
It's got
He's
sausage
bigger
hands.
than the airplane. He can't fit. He's like,
Going
this is
to
like a
bed,
whole nother planet back there. Is that like the state of Texas and the planet back there? I don't know. Who knows?
If we're just talking about
Then-
airline Cthulhu,
I love that there's
Yeah.
airplanes and sausages flying in the air. That just
Yeah.
Texas.
Well,
Like
that
a
and
bunch of
Cthulhu's tentacles look like sausage here. I don't know
Yeah,
what's
it does,
going
It's
a little,
like-
little bit of kielbasa for sure. Oh, Cthulhu with a sausage beard. Ah,
Firecrackers,
Yeah,
Bahama Mamas.
Planet
Sausages.
Texas.
Oh, my
Yes,
pretty
Planet
mama.
Texas.
Key Largo, Monty.
oh, not
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
imagine him trying to sing that though?
No, stop showing
This
it.
is great though.
That's worse than the
Alright.
little bottle
It
of
is.
water meme.
I don't know what's
video
better
reference.
tonight. What's been y'all's favorite? Cthulhu, hippos, I don't know. Cthulhu had
I
Yo,
love
the
the blue
hippos were
hippos and
fucking
I
bonkers.
love the
gonna
blue
say,
hip.
they
the
were
hoop
pretty
hippos and blue
classy.
suits. Yeah.
yeah.
And a hippo in a blue suit.
Green version of the moon. Tentacles kind of look like hair.
Dude,
They
we're
could
gonna
be like
write
hair
songs about
follicles.
these crazy AI
Perfect
images,
Jones.
and nobody's gonna have any idea what we're talking about. We're gonna be like Cthulhu
Right.
in Texas.
Well, can you imagine?
strolling off his whatever.
Can you
he's
imagine just
doing.
like a random person joining your stream right now, Mono?
Oh, I
Like,
know.
Just going through just chatting, be like, "Oh, I'll join
Alright,
this,"
guys.
and then
I'm-
seeing
I'm
this
dipping.
outrageous shenanigans.
Okay, bye, Jake. But yeah, I've had yeah. It's like I think some
Oh,
of
it's
them
too
yeah
much,
just
it's
joined
too
like
much,
it
it's
went from 18 to 14 viewers like within a couple seconds. So just some people jumped in and I go, oh hell, I'm out.
They're like, oh, yo, I ain't up with that.
What's happening here? I'm out.
I mean, come on, who could
They see
be
art and then they
Texas
see
Cthulhu?
golf with enemies, and then they see AI and they're like, what the fuck is going on here? I don't even know.
And us being loud and unruly as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally forgot that we were live. Anyway, Texas Cthulhu is. I mean, okay,
Yeah.
I didn't like it at first, but I really like it now. It's
Okay,
so
I'm shaving. Yeah.
you do.
So it looks like a movie poster
Yeah.
for a movie about
Yeah.
Texas.
Being attacked by Cthulhu.
Right?
A giant sausage.
Yeah, sausage.
I know, he's my favorite.
It's this guy. He's showing up, and then Texas Cthulhu's like, I'm gonna pew pew.
Let me tell you about my wiener.
Yep. These are all so good though. Oh my gosh.
No, stop.
It's like,
Oh my
hey,
god.
just
That's an awesome one there. I love that.
Dude, I'm
Yeah,
laughing so
I don't know
loud
what he's
my watch
holding.
just warned me that it's too loud in my environment.
huh?
So here's the
You
funny
tell
thing:
that
have you
watch to
tried
fuck
to like
off.
write out a prompt, and then at the end of it or in the beginning put in of, so like put it in the style of
Yeah, that's the
Picasso.
thing. Like, yeah, you gotta say like how you want it to look. You could be like,
You should
Yeah,
do
you
that
can
actually
change
real
the
quick.
style.
Put one of the ones that you already have typed in. Just change it to in the style
in
of
the
Picasso.
style of Inkyoki
Or-
whatever.
Or what's the one the melting clocks? Is that that's
Dolly.
Dali, yeah,
Salvador
yeah.
Dali. Yeah.
in the style of Salvador Dali or something.
Could you imagine
Yeah.
hippos
Or
with
any
melting
artist.
faces?
I don't have it, huh?
Coming from him,
The hippos will all
probably,
be like, here we go. In the style of Leonardo da Vinci. Or Salvador
Let's
Dali.
see.
I'm just curious. Just curious if it'll catch it.
I can't help every time I see that.
Salvador Dali. Oh my god. You would type it that way, Jack.
Oh my god. Here we go.
Oh,
Dude, the black and white pictures always
oh they
look
didn't
so...
change.
Not much, yeah. Look at that one though.
Hold on. There's the second one was a Cthulhu being guided in by lightsabers.
At least he's holding a boarding
what?
pass.
Sausage bat lightsaber thing.
He's like, come in. It's okay. You
In
can
the
come
first
in.
image, what the fuck is he holding?
I don't know, like
I don't
birds. by their
know.
neck.
Shovels?
Some space alien guns of
It's
some sort.
birds,
I
I
don't
think.
know.
There's space shovels. There's space shovels.
Space shovels
In
that
space, nobody can hear you shovel.
we can hear you shovel in space. Oh my god. Oh, okay.
Oh no. Dude, they're all so good.
Yes. Is that boarding enough for you?
Terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, he's on the plane now.
Dude, look at his front leg. He's got like, or you know what I mean, like whatever his tentacle. He's got like a bunch of suckers on the front.
He's got roots. Roots.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Oh, that means humanoid. Look at his feet. Splits. There's your feet.
Hey, are those meant for digging?
Whoa, his feet. Those claws
Look-
are made for
Look at his
digging.
eyes. So all these guys are on this plane, and all this water is pouring in because this guy's boarding in the middle of the ocean. It literally
While
took
holding
everything
a
in.
giant sausage.
Yeah, by holding a giant sausage. He's got snacks
It's
for
a
later.
hamburger or like a, yeah.
It looks
I
like
love
a
that he's
giant-
wearing
It's like,
a jacket and glasses and backpack. Yeah.
and look at all the small people in the plane too.
Yeah,
Like,
they're all
like,
just like,
what
oh
do
my
you
god, the
mean?
water's pouring
What do
in,
you mean,
dude!
Cthulhu?
You're letting all the water in. Oh no.
Close the door.
Oh no.
Wow.
That was a failed attempt to get on the plane.
That's awesome.
That
Wow.
looks
Kind
like
of
a movie
smashed the
poster.
plane.
Again. Cthulhu, mad.
He smashed the plane.
What the fuck?
Why is there like a
Okay.
Star Trek shit up in the top?
Matthew!
Dude, why is there a fucking...
Oh,
under
that's
his
funny,
goddamn
Matthew,
foot?
right?
Oh, this one looks good. Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Let's look at
Whoa,
it's a
pretty
Leonardo.
cool.
It looks like old world, like
The Cthulhu.
war poster or something, like, but it almost looks like
That's pretty
Cthulhu's-
cool right there. That's an awesome
So
image.
you got old man Cthulhu looking down at the youngin, and he's like, "Don't you understand?" I don't know. Do you?
look at that backpack though. Man, he would fall over.
Yeah, right?
It is a hell of a backpack, but guess what? He was that dedicated to finding.
He would definitely not be
Cthulhu.
standing that straight
Right?
unless that backpack's empty. That's pretty cool though. Yeah, that's my favorite I think out of all this series.
Yeah, out of the
Alright.
wild ass shit, yeah, I like this one. It looks.
cool.
It also looks like very like ancient Chinese, like ink painting. I don't know what they call it,
Mhm.
but it kind of
Oh, I
looks
should
like that.
save those before I do that. Yeah, I need to save some
my
of these.
God.
'cause-
Second row, third one, or second row,
Yeah.
second one looks like yeah, Cthulhu on a plane.
I'm gonna hop off, guys. I'm getting
Okay.
sleepy.
Are you safe now?
Have a good
Going
Yeah,
fast?
night.
yeah, no, we're good. We're good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Good night.
I just want to save those. So I'm open from a new tab. Okay.
I can't.
I'm fixing to
can't
change
even.
this. Oh, let's see what happens. Oh, it worked. Hold on. I think. Oh, it's thinking.
It looks
There.
so
Thinking.
very Buddhist. I don't know what to say. Like it looks very in a moment. Look at it. I'm throwing up sausages. Whatever. Dude, that third one on this screen.
That's
oh
awesome.
my God. I'm just
Alright,
throwing
changing
them
it.
up, you know
We're
what I
changing the
mean?
artist. The artist is now going to be Van Gogh versus Dolly, but the same
The
prompt.
artist's sausage. Okay.
The artist is changed. The prompt is the same because his prompt is just great. Oh my gosh.
I see a lot of
That's
wings.
awesome.
Oh my. What is the
Uh-huh.
one? Why is it always the second one that has like a title, but it's like
I
crazy?
just love that. It looks like Van Gogh's signature is what it's supposed to look
Yeah.
like. It's supposed to look like in Van
My
Gogh.
God.
Jay!
Big sausage
Oh,
water
Miss,
for
how's it
you.
going? It's going great. How are you? I love the sausage. The sausage nunchucks look They actually have the shape or the little pattern of the nunchucks, but they kind of look like a leather whip.
Yeah, you
I
like
don't know.
that?
They kind of look like a leather whip sausage. I don't know what's going on there.
Those nunchucks are very phallic.
The airplane in the
These
background
are-
has nothing to do with it. It's just like taking off.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah,
this
like-
guy, he's standing down there. Hold on. Okay, picture. He's standing
He's
down
like-
there with these crazy, weird
Mango.
sausage
Sausage
chunks.
nunchucks.
I hope you're doing good, Jay. Welcome to the stream.
Why?
What's up,
All
bro?
right. Okay. There
I'm
you
so
go.
sorry. You just
How's it
joined
going,
us and
cuz?
you have no idea how crazy
That's
we've...
pretty cool.
Oh my god, that's Schmiegel,
That is awesome.
but also
Cool.
Van Gogh. Schmiegel Van Gogh.
Okay, he lost his luster here, and it's more about Van Gogh now.
Uh,
That's himself.
Wow,
There you go.
whoa.
But with Starry Nights,
I actually like this one. This is great.
he's just like floating.
Can you please take a screenshot of that? I love this one. It is amazing.
yeah, that's pretty cool.
What? Oh my. Wow.
Here, I'll save it here in chat, and I'll move it over later.
It's, I know it makes me sound weird, but this
Oh,
looks
that's a good one.
amazing.
It's a good one. For sure.
Ah, I love the colors on this one.
Yeah.
Look at this in
Look
the
at the
sky.
airplane.
Some kind of fish. Yeah, the fish. That looks like a dolphin plane.
Oh my God, your face is clean. What is happening?
Oh no. Oh, his head too. He's
Yeah.
cleaned it all out.
Yeah. Yeah, beard's gone, hair's gone.
Yeah. Got the Arizona heat getting to you, ain't it?
He's
On that.
totally
No.
smooth.
There was that.
And that one, it just
also-
like forgot the art style here. But yeah, that's cool. That
Oh
looks
my
like more like
God.
Godzilla.
That
Godzilla.
is amazing.
Godulu.
Well,
That's
I
an
can't
airplane.
kinda had to have a shave
At his
because I
feet, it
accidentally
looks like a
set the beard on
huge
fire
cruise
the other night.
ship,
So,
Ah.
but
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
what is going on?
I
He's
love
he's
that.
destroying that sucker. He knocked it out of the sky, and he's about to rip it apart.
He's got these
He's
weird
gonna rip it apart.
purple dreads and everything else.
Yeah.
Oh
Alright. So I don't know which one of these was my fave, but I kind of like what Ideogram did with this one. I think better.
Yeah.
I kind of like
I
the
did- this is the
Ideogram
thing
this
with
time.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the
Yeah.
nunchaku.
Yeah. I think that one kind of wins on that one.
I gotta take a little time out. Gotta go make a cocktail. I'll be right back.
Hey.
If you end up doing one more, I finally
What I
thought
want to
of
know
a,
is what it says at
You
the
thought of
bottom.
something,
It doesn't
Shane?
say
You want to type it in chat?
Chat. What does that say at the
Or
bottom?
not chat,
Does it
chat,
say
but like in
you?
Discord chat, you can type it there and I'll copy paste.
Yeah. I was looking at my bookshelf and I thought, why not grab the biggest thing I own just about?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if it has any relevance. Did I just say relevance?
Yeah, is that a word?
What I meant to say was relevance. Anyway, you know what I meant.
Let's see.
Oh yeah, the one where he's getting on the plane. That was so good. That was really good. I agree. I think that was right there. That one was really good. Oh,
There were so
welcome.
many good ones, though.
I like that one too, where he is the plane.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
I wouldn't want to see that
The
landing in
next
an
one,
airport.
the next one is pretty good too.
Watch Streak 7! Yay! You made it, Hello. Just so many fun ones.
There's so many good fucking yeah.
I guess we couldn't go wrong with Cthulhu tonight. So.
You want my sausage?
A traveling merchant riding in his wagon. Is
that
that all the details you want, Shane?
I could add more, but I figured I'd
Let's see.
let other people add some.
Okay.
Oh wait, did I
Open.
miss a prompt? What are we doing?
Now Shane came up with one. Let's see. I'm gonna have like so many tabs open that it's gonna crash stream because.
You need to save some of these.
But you know what? I forget that all these programs save them all along anyway. I don't know why I think I have to do that because they're all here. Every one we just did is here.
Right. Yeah.
They're all here, and then the ones we did last time are here.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Which is so funny to look back at. If you look at the history, actually, just scroll down further.
They get really
Yeah.
bad. Like,
Or
they're
in-
not
in-
that good.
Keep going.
A lot
Yeah,
to say. You want
keep going.
All right. And there's that one. Ignore the bathroom thing. That was a project.
The bathroom thing.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him. Oh my god, he's so cool. I love it. The spiders took over the
Yeah,
world and
I
ate all the
gotta read it.
humans.
Hold on, I gotta read the prompt. In the
Holy
beginning,
cow, that
spiders.
just
Hold on.
brought a bunch of
Created the
memories
earth.
back.
This is the one that created the toes for digging.
Toads
They
for
did it through
digging.
Bing. Yeah. This is the
On
prompt.
ideogram. On ideogram.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember if you can see your history. I think you can on ideogram, but I'm afraid to click on the wrong thing at the wrong time. Let's see.
Why'd y'all let me even say that? That's like some fucking weird ass shit.
So funny. In the beginning, spiders created the earth. Oh my,
Okay,
what
we're good.
wonderful toes you have. Are they for
Yeah.
digging?
There
Flying
you go.
pizza face.
All the things we've done. Ideogram. Oh, narwhal.
Oh, the narwhals.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
On the
Oh,
roof.
And again, Ninja Turtles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody remember that video
Uh,
back in the day where they just sung narwhals?
That's
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know what to tell you, dude. You just had a moment.
Hold on, I have to finish this. Okay.
Okay.
In the beginning, spiders created the earth. Oh my, what wonderful toes you have. Are they for digging? Flying pizza face on the beach. On the last day, the spiders ate all the human. Sunburst guitar strumming out a beautiful rhythm. Talking mountains with a
Oh,
birthday
sorry.
cake.
Yep. Birthday cake, talking mountains. Yeah.
Oh, because that was on your birthday. That was your birthday stream.
Yep.
Oh my god, why?
Oh, that's amazing.
Love it. Okay, and then Shane had a thing he was doing real quick. Let me grab his.
Okay.
Copy.
Wales, I did post that on my Facebook, like the
Yeah, you should go get it so we can see it again. You should go get it so we can see
The
it
only
again.
person who cared was Kimono.
I did. I liked it. Not gonna lie,
I'm
that
pretty
spider
sure other
looks
people
kind of
looked at
like
it
a
and they were like,
tentacle, right? I want to see what they think a ghosting you would look be
What is
like.
going on there?
Matthew, the Litwick. Okay. A ghost TV? Okay, we're gonna do Shane's real quick.
I've ever mentioned how much I love this. This shit, it's so much satisfaction.
I'm pretty sure
Mhm.
we're about to get one of those like Skyrim moments where it's like, oh, you're awake.
Oh, that's so cool. There you go, Shane. With very limited details, this is what we get. That's so cool, though.
I mean, I can.
No, look at it, though. They're amazing. Look. It's sometimes
Yeah,
cool to
that's
see
so
what it
cool.
comes up with.
Yeah, but who has a horse in the middle of the desert? They would have a fucking camel.
Bro. Very short trips through the desert.
Poor horse is like.
Pelipper, no one likes us.
On
What?
that second one, I'm
Like
trying to
you?
figure out why
Oh,
the horse has
Pelipper, because
wheels.
nobody tried to catch it.
The horse has wheels.
Why does the horse have wheels on
Listen.
that second picture?
Oh, I already
Makes it go
skipped.
faster,
God.
okay? It can giddy up.
Ghost TV.
That's pretty cool.
Just go with 3 words and see what it says. I'll look for you, Hollow. Oh, you did a thing. You did a thing.
Pokemon Ghost Eevee?
I missed all your prompt. I'll do it again. But first, we'll see what it is.
It's gonna be Eevee! Oh my!
Jeez.
Right?
That second
I
one's
missed
looking
his
kind of derpy.
I missed his whole prompt, but yeah.
Those are awesome though.
I mean,
At first it was
Pokemon
bad.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
fake art? Yeah, that's pretty good.
first one done.
Yeah. What's your idea, Rando? What you got? Okay, now I'm doing Hollow's actual thing that he wanted.
What is? It's
There you go.
Raichu.
That's so cool. It didn't like change its form a lot. Other than that one looks like Gengar. It looks like an Eevee Gengar
kinda
combo.
badass.
The third one's
that
trying
Yeah.
to
one on
blend
the
with
far
Pikachu a
right
little
is
bit.
like Iron Man.
Yeah, this one's got the Pikachu cheeks.
Oh.
This one
I like
reminds
the
me of
second one.
Flareon. Flareon a little bit.
The second one looks dangerous.
Right? Are we still in ad
It's gonna
mode?
Actually-
zap ya.
It's like it's actually not just the cheeks. That third one is like whole Pikachu face.
Mm-hmm. I can't tell if
Like
we're in
the eyes
ads
and
still or
lips,
not
too.
for some reason. Usually tells me that we got ads for, but it's not telling you. There you go. There you go, Hollow.
I don't even know. Jeez.
Why? Tell me why it is 100% off on Steam. Tell you why what is 100% off on Steam? Oh, the game. Tell me why. Never mind. You know what you're talking about, Jeff.
That got me too. I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about?
All right, Rando, what's your idea? We're gonna do your idea, and then I'm gonna end stream because it'll be midnight.
Bugger.
Ain't nothing but a good idea.
I'll save my
oh, Splint, you're gonna love this. Your game, Oh Dear, is on. Oh, he's not even here. Is on sale on Steam. It's half off.
He's pooping.
Hope everything comes out all right.
If I start hearing,
Jay is dying. I think I lost Jay. I have Oh Dear. It is fun with friends. Yeah, Oh Dear is $4.99 right now. But yeah.
Yeah, way to turn my whole face red, thanks.
You haven't heard that phrase before, have you? Yeah, you're like,
Oh dear.
you're gone too long. I'd be like, I hope everything came out alright. Welcome back.
Want to play Oh dear? No.
Yeah, it's on sale right now. I posted in my Discord so people would know it's on sale. So just in case. Yeah, it's Steam summer sale, so it's half off right now. Normally it's a $10 game, but now it's a $5 game right now. So.
It's $4.99.
But lots of good
It's pretty
deals
funny.
on
So
the way
it
until
works out
mid-July.
great is like there's a hunter, they come out of the cabin, and then like the rest of you are deer, and you're like trying to pretend to be deer.
Wiggles, you were up to
Don't eat berries
600 bits. Holy
frequently enough,
cow.
You end up standing up.
Thank you,
and
Wiggles.
going, "I'm not a deer. I'm not a deer."
I know you were doing it all night, and I had to switch screens so I could actually see them because I had no clue because there's no
It was
sound
so funny. It was
notification.
so funny. It's kind of along the same lines
Do
as
one more.
what's that one
Gates.
horror game that is like the slasher and whatever. It's the same idea, but it's so good.
Okay. I'm 16 channel points away from another sticker. Well, hang on to it because I'm gonna get another sticker made. So hang on to it until you don't have the sticker.
Until you get the new sticker.
Yeah, I know you can get the new sticker. And a valley of hope down the deep dark slope, the moonlight shadows and a demon
That's a prompt.
sends on souls of hope. Demon sits or
This
sends?
should be the last prompt. It seems pretty
Sends.
good.
Let's see.
Hey, here we go.
Been holding on to that one for a while.
Yeah. You're holding out on us. He's got all the ideas.
Oh. You're a poet?
Yeah, it just came out the other night
Why
when
does it
we were
always
doing this
look
with
like
someone
some
else.
sort of X-ray? That's what I want to know. When it starts. Wow, look at that one in the second. It's like
Yeah,
Nice.
I like that one.
coming down.
It looks like a photo too.
That's pretty cool.
The last one is pretty cool too. That
Yeah.
one's really cool because it's just like,
I think the second one's my favorite though.
Yeah.
what is with that last one in the little
on.
like weird ecto babies? I don't know.
Alright, I just
Get it.
downloaded
Oh,
it.
no.
Stop it.
Get it, Jeff. Do it. It doesn't matter
Hogwarts
what system,
Legacy is
just
only
get it.
$24 right now, and I was considering getting it.
Get it.
I mean,
Do
you
it.
can.
I already posted it to Facebook. Like it's like too late.
So many great games on sale. I have 50 cents to my name and pennies because I have a roll of pennies. Nice. Yeah, there's a lot of games on sale. I think all my wish list games are like on
Oh,
sale, of
wow.
course.
Okay, on the far right, it looks like two people embracing at the hips.
Let's see.
It's all in the hip.
It's all
In
in the hip.
the hip.
There's trees.
I
Some
mean,
of
am I
those look
wrong?
really good though.
Uh
It
huh.
is really good. Wow.
This looks like something out of what Mordor.
It does a bit, that one, doesn't it?
Uh-huh.
There it is.
I think if you're thinking along the lines of the third Lord of the Rings movie,
Ah,
then yeah, it does look a bit.
so cool.
That is really awesome.
I just realized too, I could have
Oh,
been
man,
thinking
can you
of.
carry this ring for me over the mountain and through the woods?
Those are so cool though. Oh, this one actually does have a person right there.
Mhm.
It's right there on the side. I didn't see it at first.
Oh no way. Take
You
somebody's
have pickled
Facebook
flavor
photo.
in Valley Ridge.
What book of
What was this prompt?
another one of my.
The one that Jay posted just above. I don't know if you can see it. It's right here for you.
I can say it if you want.
What do you mean? You can say it, but it's right here too.
In the Valley of Hope, down the deep dark slope, moonlight shadows and demon sins on the souls of hope. Sorry.
I asked you for yours earlier, Rando, but I think you stepped away.
I know next time you do this, Mono, if I can
Uh-huh.
think of it, I'm gonna grab this book too. This is There's a bunch of
Okay.
letters from Father Christmas that
I wonder.
that Tolkien made up.
Uh-huh.
I could probably come up with an idea or two from this for next time.
You know, Kimono, that would actually make a good quote, that one that I've done.
Okay.
Hmm.
Is that the whole thing you want, Rando?
Lions in suits on an airline.
No, meow.
See what we get.
Yeah, let's get it.
This is going to be interesting.
Get it.
Again, I think the art style is going to really would play a factor.
Mm-hmm. The more details you list, the more you're gonna get out of it. But I do like seeing when it comes up with when you use less
Basic.
details too.
Yeah. Well, how
How's
is
that?
that?
Oh, it says ions. I forgot the L.
There's so many people in blue suits.
Maybe I thought it was like icons or something.
They're all like, yes, we work.
I see. Yeah, I don't know.
Looks like a picture from one of those airline ads.
I dropped the L off when I copied and pasted.
All you did was
This is
drop
what
the ball.
happens. Now I want to know what ions are besides, science stuff. So cute. Oh, I love in the back how there's like old ones, and then there's like maybe what is that, like a raccoon cat? I don't even know.
The two looking at each other, we're like, yes, we are lions.
Yeah, and then there's humans back there
On
too.
an airplane.
There's lions and humans together.
Well, okay, but then it's just a reflection of.
This is first class, right?
Unfortunate. The background could be better, but the foreground is amazing. They're like, oh yes, aren't you a lion?
Yeah.
Drinking crystal or whatever the fuck lions drink.
How did you pronounce that just
This
now?
looks like the Royal Tenenbaum lions.
And these guys are just walking it. They're actually look like the stewardess or something.
I wish an airplane was that way. Jeez.
Right? That's a big wide pack.
That,
They do
those
look serious though. They look
those paths
Mhm.
ain't that wide in reality, though. I've been on
Nope.
things.
Not even as wide as one of those.
Down the hallway. You're either in the wrong class or they're gonna kick you out.
Right?
And the second one is just like, nah,
Mm-hmm.
this is my seat.
Yeah, and anybody can use this one, guys, this image prompt. You don't have to pay to use ideogram
Wait
AI.
a minute. Hold on. Okay, so the second image, there's like they're sharing the hand rests, but also
Oh, they're holding paws. Look
What?
at that. But this guy, I don't know if his paw's just
So look
sitting
on
down
this side,
beside
and then
him.
Look on the other side.
Yeah, it
He's
might
a
just
hoe.
be down on his lap.
He's a hoe. He's a hoe.
I fucking detest this.
That's pretty awesome.
Oh, and this one has human hands. You realize that, right? Human hands?
Mm,
Well, yeah, the third one
No
is
paws.
hands too.
that's
Yeah.
true.
The third one is like
Human hands.
hands drinking.
They just have
wine.
lion faces.
Although the woman behind them on the left-hand side is a bit confused from the looks of it. On that third
Oh,
one.
you mean on the second?
Yeah, I hit my daily limit, guys, too, right there.
I don't get it.
I've never had that message pop up on ideogram, but apparently I hit my daily limit.
if you use the free version, it gives you a daily limit. I think it's only like.
I didn't know that. I've never done that many prompts on there in one day.
Right, I'm gonna take 2
And
minutes.
Midjourney is definitely paid, so that's different. But you did too, Rando. Nice. Alright guys, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for playing. I hope you enjoyed the AI image creation. I kind of want to come up with a name of this concept that we're doing live, but I can't think of a name. I mean, what do we want to call this
Ideas.
Just chatting.
game?
Just,
Like-
you just use some alliteration. Be like AI art ideas.
I called it Community AI Distortion. That's what I called it so far, but Community AI Distortion. We come up with some distorted imagery. Prompt stream. It doesn't have to be image prompt stream, but yeah, it could be an image prompt stream. Because just prompt can be anything. It could be text too. Image prompt stream, and then Community AI Distortion. I'm gonna save those 2 names. AI prompt stream. Yeah. AI prompt stream. But AI also is text. So, but if you're in the art category, though, obviously you're creating some kind of art. Alright guys, that is it. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for a fun night with golf shenanigans, ending with our AI art prompt
Good times.
stream thing, distortion, community, words, event. There you go. You're welcome, glad to. I hope you guys had fun. Just something new we wanted to do, something that I've actually wanted to do for like probably about 3 months now, but I just didn't have the. I don't know. I just didn't do it. We've been doing it offline a lot.
It's definitely entertaining.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, stay tuned. I will keep you posted on what's up next. And in July, we will also schedule a Cards Against Humanity night in Discord. So if you're interested, make sure you're in the Discord so you can play with us. But I will see you guys next time. I hope you have an awesome night, everyone.
You too.
Animal prompts for awesome. Especially the lion and hippos. Yes, they were. I did enjoy those. Those were awesome. Alright, good night, everyone.